Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 72 of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. I'm your host, Joel Pavon. Tonight, Justin and Daniel will be on with us. As per usual. Dan, it's a little bit late.
Yep.
And this time we'll be expecting Robby Noonan, also known as Race Day 2011. Go ahead and check him out on YouTube. He's got over 1,000 subscribers. If you're into diecast, IndyCar, and all things motorsports, and if you're a Beatles fan like I am, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I put his channel underneath the description, and he'll be on later tonight. But for now, let's just get into the gist of things. Another jam-packed race weekend in the world of motorsports. It sure was entertaining. If you like all kinds of racing like I do, then you didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
But let's get into the start. Of course, as always, we start with NASCAR. The NASCAR Cup Series race at Daytona on the road course for the first time in Cup Series history, for the first time in the modern era, a NASCAR top-level division raced on the Daytona road course. For round 23 of this year's NASCAR Cup Series. Chase Elliott, who I said was somebody that you should look out for last week, goes to victory lane after winning stage one and 34 laps from the 7th spot for his 8th career win. So here's some facts here. Chase Elliott, 8 wins, and half of those victories, 4, have come on the road courses, 2 including Watkins Glen, 1 on the Charlotte Roval from last year, and of course this year at the Daytona road course just yesterday. Chase Elliott has certainly proved himself to become the newest road course star in the NASCAR Cup Series. Something really only drivers such as Martin Truex Jr. has been able to accomplish lately until Chase Elliott's run in 2018. Let's take a look through the results and see where drivers stand out. Denny Hamlin finished second, and he was the other car that was surprisingly fast. Hamlin won stage 2, led 16 laps, and started second. Now, Hamlin really gave a run for the money going after Chase Elliott.
Yeah, he really tried in that 11 car, but some points of the track he kept locking up, which didn't help him, locking up the tires in the corners.
And unsurprisingly, Martin Truex Jr. finished in third. I said last week, I think it was last week, and I said Martin Truex Jr. or Chase Elliott will be in the way of both drivers between the race and victory lane. And Truex led 10 laps. He started third, finished third, ran into some problems under full course yellows, such as car stalling while shutting the engine off to refire fuel, but was able to rebound after that. Jimmy Johnson, a very needed 4th place finish for the 7-time champion. Johnson started 11th and ran up front for the majority of the race, coming home with a 4th place. And Chris Buescher finishes 5th, his first top 5 since the Daytona 500, when he finished 4th place. And Chris Buescher played it smart. He's one of those drivers that is really in need for a win. Points would have just slide him in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, like Chris Buescher, he's currently 22nd in the standings, and his only win did come because of the rain. Not the rain, but the
this is long since passed, and just to see that of 23 races, he's finished in the top 10 5 times. It's a little bit surprising.
And also, I actually just checked. Also, it was Chris Buescher's first top 10 since Talladega, where he finished 6th. So it's his first top 5 since Daytona and his first top 10 since Talladega. So, Chris Buescher has currently an up and down season.
He's going to be working twice as hard in the next 3 races.
The thing about Chris Buescher is the first time he's in the Cup car at Roush. He's driven for Front Row and JTG Darty Racing. They're not the best teams. Roush, I know
they're
they're not
slightly better than the two teams you just mentioned.
And also Chris Buescher has to get used in strong equipment compared to the front row equipment. That's not fast compared like Chris Buescher,
especially during that time when he raced for them.
He drove with, and he had his teammate Landon Castle, who had more experience, but front row was not the best in 2016.
They're still a growing team. Let's move on to the results here. Clint Bowyer, who is somewhat of a solid road course racer, played in a different strategy than we saw of most drivers, especially late in the race. That resulted in a 6th-place finish. Finishing 7th, Kaz Gralla led 3 laps, started 10th in his Cup Series debut driving for Austin Dillon. Now, if you weren't aware last week, Austin Dillon was tested positive for COVID-19. And Kaz Gralla, who has a background in sports car racing, was tapped by Richard Childress, and Gralla is a developmental driver for RCR to begin with, so it worked. It was a win-win situation. They were up front, solid top 10 effort in his debut. 8th place, William Byron, who started 13th. Byron's trying to keep those top 10s going, especially for the position he's in the points. Joey Logano led 1 lap, started 5th, finished 9th after making a charge from the front. I think he was one of the few cars that pitted on that last caution.
Yeah, he did. He was the first one on pit road.
And the car behind him did the same thing, and Michael McDowell, who ran the top 10 for the majority of the race, he started 30th, or drew 30th for qualifying as they do this year. Brought it to a top 10 finish, and we'll give you some 3 drivers that finished outside the top 10 that were key factors in the race. Kevin Harvick drew pole, finished 17th, had some moments, including a wheel hop that spun him around late in the race in one of the hairpins. Ryan Blaney had a bad moment in the last few laps that sent him back to 31, because there were I think we had more than 30 cars that finished on the lead lap. That is a total of 32 cars on the lead lap, which is very, very rare in NASCAR racing, period. And, of course, last but not least, Kyle Busch, 37th, led 1 lap, started 4th, and retired out of the race. They tried to bring it back, but
the brakes didn't, the brakes stopped working on the rear of the car.
Just a forgettable race for Kyle Busch.
And also, you need your brakes at a road course, because without brakes, you know what's going to happen. You can't. Remember, Kyle Busch did have brake issues. Remember when he tried to get to pit road?
He had to make an unscheduled stop in the first 10 laps.
And also, because of he locked up the left front. And also that people that didn't know, because Racing Reference has never updated this, it says Yaley's in the 27, but
Curry finished the car. Yaley started the car, so Yaley gets credit for racing.
Yeah, but the thing is, Bailey Curry ran more laps, so Bailey has the position. So he was in the end of the race, because I guess Yaley was so exhausted because it was hot at Daytona. It was so.
Yeah, he wasn't the only driver that dealt with heat exhaustion.
No, there was many drivers the race before that, the Truck Series. There was a lot of them that went to the infield care center, and then and Ty Majeski had to get transferred to another medical center to get evaluated.
Truck driver.
Yep.
So they'll be back next week for Dover.
Double header.
24 and 25.
Yep.
That's essentially what's left. It will be very tricky. We'll get into that later in the podcast, but let's take a look for now at the standings. Who's in? Who's out? What do these drivers need to do? Let's just get to the points. So these drivers are in through wins secured. 10 drivers secure through race wins this season. Kevin Harvick, of course, leads that one with 6 wins over Denny Hamlin. Hamlin has 5 wins. Brad Keselowski, the only driver to have 3, only driver aside from Harvick and Hamlin to have 3 wins this season.
Yep.
Sits in 3rd. Chase Elliott joins the multiple winners in 2020 club with yesterday's victory, sitting himself with 2 wins, as well as Joey Logano. Ryan Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., Alex Bowman, Austin Dillon, and Cole Custer
have the 1 win.
Yeah, with the 1 win. And then from there, we go on to points. Points exclusively starts with Eric Almirola, who's in. He's got 682 points claimed so far. That's in relation to 552 points. That's over 100 points. He should be very secure. Kurt Busch, same kind of deal. Even Kyle Busch, even that retirement yesterday, it still wasn't enough to drop him hard down the drain. But Kyle's still 13th, which is surprising. And for his standards, and
That's
Kyle
not
Busch being
good.
in his prime virtually his entire career, this is very unlike him.
Yeah, you never expect to see Kyle Busch in 13th in points. Usually expect him top 10 in points, but not like you never expect that.
Not in this fashion.
No.
Clint Boyer with that 6th place finish keeps him in good territory right now.
Yeah.
618 points earned this year. Matt DiBenedetto with 596 points. That's 15 right now compared to 552 points where Joey Johnson is. And then, of course, last place in the 16 driver chase, if it were to end now, William Byron would be the last driver to get in.
Yeah, so it's close. It's close. Like, William Byron has to perform at Dover because he doesn't want to get DNFs. At this point, just get top 10s, get the top 10s he needs and all that, and also Daytona, just try to stay out of trouble. Because you don't want to be involved in a big wreck at Daytona because that's going to take you out of contention.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's go down to the drivers that are just outside the playoffs. Let's go from 17th to 25th, just because we have 2 weeks left. Since there's 2 races this weekend, we're pretty much 2 podcasts away from the start of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we can paint the picture here. Jimmy Johnson, of course, the first man out. He's got 552 points, which, of course, chasing after Byron. Still needs to have 2 solid finishes at Dover.
Yeah.
Dover's a great track for him. Eric Jones, 542 points claimed right now.
Yeah.
That's 10 behind Jimmy Johnson. Christopher Bell, 431 points. Kind of a must-win situation for him.
Yeah.
Same with Bubba Wallace at 412. And then Chris Buescher, Michael McDowell, they're tied for 22nd, 23rd, 403 points. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 396 points. Almost put himself in the chase after of nearly winning Talladega. It was just inches behind Brian Blaney. And knowing what's coming in 2 weeks. And Ryan Newman, same
25th. Yep. Yeah, and if people don't know who's 30th in points, it's Ryan Preece over Suarez for 30th.
You have to be in the actual points in the top 30 with win to be put in the 16 driver playoffs.
Yeah, so that's Preece over Suarez right now for 30th, but
that would be very unlikely. But we have 2 races this weekend. We'll talk about which drivers are hot, which drivers are not. So let's move on to the NASCAR Xfinity Series and their race at the Daytona Road Course, first time in their modern era, 1982 present, that they ran on the road course at Daytona.
Yeah.
Austin Cindric, unsurprisingly, won the race.
Yeah.
I mean, what could you say?
Talk about being a good road course driver when it comes to your advantage. Yeah. Austin Cindric gets the job done.
Yep.
Congrats to him and the 22 crew for putting on a good show.
Yeah, his car was fast.
Fast indeed. Austin Cindric won stage 1, led 21 laps after drawing pole. His 7th career win. He knows his way around Daytona, ran the 24-hour race multiple times in sports cars already. Brandon Jones, who led 2 laps, finished in 2nd. He started 10th, highest finishing driver for Joe Gibbs Racing. Noah Gragson led a lap, started 3rd, finished 3rd. AJ Allmendinger, who started 11th, finished at the 4th spot. Surprisingly, he led 0 laps, but honestly, the cautions would have flown in different patterns. He might as well ended up in victory lane. 5th place, Andy Lally started 6th for him. Career best finish, for the third time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Andy Lally's best finish in the series of a 5th place run.
Yep, good run for that 0-2 team.
Jeremy Clements finished 6th. Very important run for him. He still has got a long ways left and needs to depend on a surprise to get himself in.
Or something happens to Brandon Brown in the 68. He basically has to run good, and Brandon Brown has things going wrong, and because the Xfinity playoffs don't start for a couple more weeks. Their playoffs start later than the Cup Series.
Right. Yep. As for the Cup Series that we mentioned, there's 3 races left, but Xfinity has still 7 more races till their the playoff portion begins.
Yeah, the playoffs for Xfinity start after Bristol. Their first race is Las Vegas. So
yes.
They have a long way.
Let's go down the finishing order. Riley Herbst finished in 7th.
Wow.
Over teammate Harrison Burton, who finished 8th. Justin Allgaier finished 9th, but not one of the satisfying 9th place finishes. Honestly,
he didn't want that one.
He ran into some trouble after aggressive racing with AJ Allmendinger.
Yep.
Still managed to get that top 10. And Mike Snyder, a very needed top 10 finish.
Wow.
Because he does have a shot to make the playoffs. Because all it takes is something to go his way. Maybe 2 weeks at Daytona on the oval.
Like, it just depends. Like, so far he's still in Ryan Sieg's car because other drivers are in the 21. But basically, when he's in the 21, Jeff Green's in the 93. It's basically that. But again, this weekend at Dover, both races, Snyder's in that number 93 car again.
Let's take a look at some drivers outside the top 10. Josh Bilicki, 12th place, led a lap for the second time in his career.
Yeah, good run for that.
Finish. Yep. Earl Bammer in his debut. Earl Bammer, a Porsche factory driver, 2-time Le Mans 24-hour winner.
Yep.
2-time Bathurst 12-hour winner and team owner. Was able to race in the States this weekend. Bammer from New Zealand. Driving for Richard Childress Racing and KCMG. Had a very decent car, but ran into trouble retiring at 33rd place. Ross Chastain and Justin Haley, both retirements, double retirement for Colleague Racing. The only car that finished was AJ Allmendinger's.
Yeah, Justin Haley hit the grass and it broke the suspension on the car, and you had Ross Chastain broke his transmission. He did finish the race, but many laps down.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, especially with these road courses. Transmission care is a big priority among these road courses.
And obviously, NASCAR series where ovals dominate the calendar. It's not like these drivers have much background experience doing such a thing as preserving your transmission, shifting multiple times in a lap. Well, we'll just have to see where this sits. All right, so the standings with 7 races left in the regular season for the NASCAR Xfinity Series look like this. It is Austin Cindric through wins. Austin Cindric is up front with the points lead. 5 wins, as well as Chase Briscoe. The 2 Ford drivers are just the 2 best drivers of 2020. Noah Gragson, 3rd with 2 wins, along with Harrison Burton and Brandon Jones in 2 Gibbs cars. And Justin Haley, 6th place, has a win this year from Talladega. Now, Ross Chastain, without a doubt, is the highest driver in points without a win, with 709 so far. Justin Allgaier, 633 points. Michael Annett, 567. Riley Herbst with 462 points, tied with Ryan Sieg. And then the last driver to get in is Brandon Brown with 409 points. Now, in relation to 381, of course, you guys do the math. But Jeremy Clements is the first man out.
Yeah, Jeremy Clements is just trying to fight up there. I know he has good cars, but he's just trying to get in. But there's many races. Next race for Xfinity, 2 Dover races. If something happens to Brandon Brown in those 2 races and Jeremy Clements is in the front, that'll help in Jeremy Clements just has to run solid and gain points and see if Brandon Brown has issues.
Right, and since there are 7 races remaining in the 2020 Xfinity Series regular season, let's take a look at the events that are left. So now, obviously, after Daytona Road Course, we have 2 Dover races,
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Then it's followed by the Daytona 250, 250 miles on the oval. Anything goes, pretty much.
Yep. Then they go to Darlington, throwback weekend, and then
Richmond, 2 Richmond races.
Yeah,
and
Friday.
a Bristol race.
Yeah, before
Can it get any harder?
The pressure is really on for these guys.
Yep, because you have Dover, tough racetrack to drive at. Then you have Daytona, where big ones could happen. Then you go to Darlington, a tough racetrack to drive at. After Darlington, you have more toughness. 2 Richmond races. Richmond is a tough short track. And then you go battle it out at Bristol. Bristol is also a tough short track, so it's going to be an interesting next couple weeks for these Xfinity guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the pressure's on. Even if when the Xfinity Series is probably the most secure playoff grid for the drivers that are in the 2020 playoffs. Other than those guys, I mean, the teams are going to be put to the test. There are going to be some drivers who will be miserable when this is all said and done. And
yep.
So yeah, next race will be 2 Dover races. For the NASCAR Xfinity Series, rounds 20 and 21 of 33.
Yep.
And let's move on to the NASCAR Truck Series. The NASCAR Truck Series made their debut at the Daytona Road Course 20 years ago. Of course, they made their debut on the Daytona Oval for the famous season-opening Daytona 250. Now, the Sunoco 159 at Daytona marks the first road course event on the track. First time the Truck Series ran at a road course outside of Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, also known as Mosport, since 2000. And Sheldon Creed, the 2 dominating drivers, finished first and second. Sheldon Creed over teammate Brett Moffitt. Creed won stage 2. Moffitt won stage 1. Creed led 19 laps, and Moffitt led 13 laps. Sheldon Creed's second career win.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting to see these drivers, especially because a lot of them are new to this kind of racing, and they had 0 sessions at all. They made it through without issues. Let's look down the results. Rafael Lessard, career best finish of 3rd. Lessard led 3 laps from the 10th starting spot. Very decent run.
Yep.
Matt Crafton led 7 laps from the 12th spot to finish 4th. Austin Hill led 1 lap, started 4th, finished in the top 5. Good run for the points leader. Tyler Ankrum, who was in a slump in the last few events, rebounds with a 6th place finish. Ankrum started 5th. Grant Enfinger 7th. Parker Kligerman finished in the 8th spot. Scott Lagasse Jr. finished 9th. Lagasse in a one-off appearance for On Point Roller Sports. And Stuart Friesen, a needed top 10, but he still has work to do. Let's move on to here's 3 drivers I listed outside the top 10. Include Christian Eckes, who finished 12th, led 3 laps, started 2nd, just missed the top 10. Kind of had to wreck himself to fight that spot off. It didn't go his way.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate there.
Zane Smith from the drawing pole finished 13th, and Alex Tagliani, who I had picked to win, driving Kyle Busch's number 51, started 21st, finished 22nd. Cautions just went against him near the end of the race. So, what you guys think about that truck race?
It was complete and utter chaos at the end.
Yeah, I kind of missed the end because if people didn't know that some people in Canada couldn't get the truck race on because of motorcycle racing they cared about. But do you want to know what is the craziest thing I've seen? That if nobody knows what happened, Zane Smith was in a weird accident. That accident took place turn one on that final restart. One of the niche trucks, don't know which truck it was, slid into Zane Smith's truck. The B pillar was crushed in. If you, like when I saw the photo, I'm like,
That is not good.
and he's like, he even said, glad that we have window nets because the B pillar was crushed into the truck. So it's one of the niche trucks slid in the corner, hit him.
That was very scary there.
Like at first, nobody knew until Rayon Brothers Racing was streaming, "Oh, carnage at Daytona," and they saw Zane Smith's B pillar crushed into the truck. So I've never seen that. Is I'm
Very
that's glad
awful situation.
I'm glad that
I've never seen anything like that.
no, and that's why we have window nets. That really helps to protect everything. That's glad they have window nets. Ooh.
So yeah, they'll be back next week for Dover 200
on
round
Friday.
13 23. As for the truck series, they have about four races until the playoffs, and we'll get into the tracks later. But let's look at the standings for now. It is Sheldon Creed. Well, Austin Hill's in the points lead. I'm just looking off. Let's look off Austin Hill.
Yeah,
76 points. But as for the playoffs, it is Sheldon Creed, 2 wins with Grant Enfinger.
What?
Austin Hill with 1 win, as well as Zane Smith and Matt Crafton. Actually, ESPN, I should not be rating off them. They have 8 seeds in the playoffs.
Yeah. That's 10.
Exactly. So Brandon Rhodes, Brett Moffitt, Zane Smith, Christian Eckes, Sheldon Creed, Matt Crafton, Grant Enfinger, Derek Krause, Tyler Ankrum. That's your top 10 in points.
Wait, you said Sheldon Creed twice, I think. In the playoffs, I think you said Sheldon Creed twice.
Yeah, I know I did. But yeah, that's what it is.
Zane Smith is also in the playoffs.
Yeah, Zane Smith, obviously, he's 4th right now.
Yeah, doing
very
so
impressive. More impressive than I thought he was going to be going into 2020.
Like Zane Smith, I know before his start at his second truck start at Daytona, for the full season, the last time his only other truck start was 2018 Gateway for DGR Crosley. Yeah, so he only made one prior start before this season because last year he ran part-time for Junior Motorsports. But he's showing his talent at GMS Racing right now.
Oh, looks like Race Day 2011 is in the house with a different nickname. Here he is.
I think my nickname explains my emotions throughout the course of the week.
We all feel the same way, Robbie. How's it going?
It's horrible. Oh, my God. Anyways, what I missed, guys. Sorry, I'm fashionably late as always.
Fashionably late. As per usual, we were just talking about the NASCAR Truck Series playoffs. We were just going over the NASCAR races at the Daytona Road Course. What do you think? Is the Daytona Road Course stock car possible?
It's an honest road course, the only problem I had was the front stretch chicane. You give them guys a little bit of practice in qualifying, they can know where breaking points. But other than that, it's a beautiful course. I'm so glad they finally came to the senses and they did it. They're doing the Clash on the road course. I don't attend many NASCAR races these days, but heck, I would go to it. I would fly to that road course and sit in the infield and park my little car there and just sit on top of it and photo shoot the whole day.
Yes, and also the next question is Chase Elliott has won now 4 road course events, 3 in a row. Of course, Jeff Gordon, the man, he stepped in when Gordon hung the helmet. Gordon has 9 wins in NASCAR on road courses, more than any other driver in history. Is that record possible?
he's pretty much halfway at this point. So I guarantee you he'll get there. I mean, don't forget we have the Roval later on in the playoff, and
Yeah.
that was the last time he had won at the Roval last year.
Yeah.
So expect him to win again.
Expect the unexpected. It's 2020. Well, let's take a look at the 4 races remaining in the Truck Series playoffs. It's Dover, then Gateway, Darlington, and Richmond.
Yep, those are the next 4 truck races, which Dover's going to be an interesting one. Then you go to Gateway, then Darlington, that some people have never been to Darlington. So
It's been 9 years since their last appearance at Darlington.
There's some rookies that never been there, so that's going to be interesting. And then Richmond, that hasn't been in the Truck Series for a long time also. So it's going to be interesting.
Is that a Thursday night race, Richmond, for the trucks?
Yeah. Truck race on Thursday night from Richmond.
It was always tradition when I was younger. It was always after Labor Day. It was always the first week of school. Odds I was the first day of school watching the truck race at Richmond.
Yep. So let's move on to Formula One. As we just covered NASCAR. Well, on the F1 for race 6 of the 2020 World Championship, which is so far race 6 of 13 as we speak. For the Spanish Grand Prix, the circuit, Barcelona, Catalunya, Lewis Hamilton, who led every single lap, had another walk-off victory, 92nd career pole, 88th career win, and a special 156 career podium, breaking Schumacher's record of all-time podiums.
Yep,
and he's pretty much closing on the 91 wins that Schumacher has.
Yep,
7
He'll
titles.
definitely, indeed, he'll get there.
Yeah,
by the end of this year.
Yeah, because he is showing how strong he is, and I guess some people nicknamed the race the Sleeping Grand Prix instead of the Spanish Grand Prix. They put Sleeping Grand Prix.
I think only the podium finished on the lead lap.
Yeah, only the top 3 finished on the lead lap. 4th on back were 1 or more laps down. Yeah.
As for the podium, Max Verstappen finished 2nd, started 3rd. He chased down Hamilton. Actually had some very good early race speed before pit stops. Kind of didn't go his way.
Yeah.
Maybe needed some rain to get in there. The rain came after the race ended, unfortunately. Verstappen, 36th career podium. As for Bottas, fastest lap. Bottas started 2nd. 50th career podium. Congratulations to Valtteri Bottas.
Yep, and then everybody else was 1 or more laps down.
Yep, Lance Stroll, or the points finishers, Lance Stroll. Sergio Perez, welcome back, Checo.
Which Perez did get a 5-second penalty. That's because ignoring blue flags. That's why he was supposed to be 4th, but the 5-second penalty made him fall down to 5th place.
Let me just hit.
Any
questions for Race Day 2011? Let's hear them for you guys in the live chat. Let's go down the list. Carlos Sainz, 6th place finish, started 7th. Sebastian Vettel, I'm actually happy he finished 7th.
Yeah.
Because it could have been worse.
Well, his teammate didn't do too well.
We'll get into that later. Alexander Albon in 8th. Pierre Gasly 9th. And I don't know if he's going to remember this one, unfortunately, because earlier today, it was found that his property was robbed.
Whoa!
That was
a break-in took place over the week.
That was very scary.
Wow!
Terrible news. Lando Norris rounds up the points finishers in 10th, so double points for McLaren and Racing Point and Red Bull and obviously Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes were 1 and 3, so yeah, they're still there.
And here are the drivers outside points from yesterday's race. Daniel Ricciardo started 13th, finished 11th. Danny Kvyat finished in 12th.
Oh yeah, he also had a penalty, ignoring blue flags also, so he also got that a 5-second penalty there.
We saw that too with
Perez, because Perez, because he did move out of the way enough for Lewis Hamilton that was charging fast.
For you guys coming in for IndyCar, stay tuned to the end of the podcast. After we go over races, we're going to save that Indy 500 discussion for later.
Yeah.
It was a very busy race weekend.
Yep.
Let's see down the list. Esteban Ocon in 13th. Unfortunate for Renault. No points at all. Kimi Räikkönen in 14th, so his 0-point streak stays unfortunate. He started 14th, was not Giovinazzi. That was Magnussen, finished 15th.
Wow.
Giovinazzi, 16th. George Russell finished 17th over teammate Nicholas Latifi in 18th. Romain Grosjean ran into trouble, finished 19th. And Charles Leclerc was the only retirement in the race. Lap 38, electric.
Yeah, which he spun and then the car wouldn't refire. He went to the pit lane, then the car just wouldn't start again. So, and also people wonder what happened to Grosjean, how he finished 19th. He got pushed off the track into turn 1. It looked like Giovinazzi tried to dive the corner, but ended up plowing into Grosjean. I'm like, well, I don't know what move he tried to make.
Yeah, that was
because Grosjean and Giovinazzi, they were battling for 17th. I guess he was desperate for 17th, I guess. Never seen a battle for
his team sits at one sole point. But next race, it will be in 2 weeks.
That's Spa.
That's Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix at the famed Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Always a classic event. As for now, they'll have a week off. The World Drivers' Championship looks like this. Lewis Hamilton, obviously, 132 points ahead of Max Verstappen with 95 points. Valtteri Bottas still trying to recover from that 11th place at Silverstone. 89 points.
He's only 6 points. He's not too far behind.
What if that was a podium? The whole standings would look completely different.
But Verstappen could still have issues because remember last time we went to Spa. Remember Verstappen retired on lap 1. You never know. That could still happen if he gets into Raikkonen randomly, like last time.
So move down there. Charles Leclerc is at 4th with 45 points, just 5 points over Lance Stroll and Alex Albon. They sit 5th and 6th tied at 40 points. Lando Norris just 1 point behind them, 39. So the battle for some of these positions are pretty intense.
Yep.
Sergio Perez making up for the 2 races he missed. Still not too far behind the guys that passed him when he sat out. He's at 32 points. Carlos Sainz is at 23 points to 9th. And Daniel Ricciardo is 10th with 20 points so far. Just looking at what's there. So it's just the rest of the drivers that have points include Sebastian Vettel, Esteban Ocon tied for 11th and 12th, 16 points each. Pierre Gasly, 2 points behind them, and 13th, 14 points. Nico Hulkenberg, obviously, he's not running the full season, but he's got 6 points. Giovinazzi and Danny Kvyat have 2 points each.
The 1 point
for Kevin Magnussen and the whole Haas team, and 3 or 4 drivers are without points this season. That includes Kimi Räikkönen, Nicholas Latifi, George Russell, and Romain Grosjean.
Yep, but Grosjean, he's been kind of better, but the thing was, it's like if he didn't get pushed off the track, he could have had a better finish. But when I saw Giovinazzi's bonsai move, I'm like, you're battling for 17th. There's no points for 17th place finish. There's no points for 17th place. Maybe Giovinazzi wants a bigger payout by a little bit. Maybe, I don't know.
There you go. I'll leave that there. If you guys have any questions for Robby, Race Day 2011, just go ahead and say something in the live chat. Let's. I know there's hardly anyone. It's just one of those weird videos where we just. It's like, but it's a podcast. I mean, we're not here for 15 minutes. They come and go as they please. But let's move on to the World Constructors Championship. Mercedes. 221 points over Red Bull Racing Honda with 135. numbers don't lie. Racing Point, beating Team Mercedes, obviously 63 points. They are back in third. It could have been 78 points, but then Renault.
But then Renault had their issue with not getting points, so maybe that's Racing.
Maybe
that's
it's karma.
Yeah, from them getting no points.
Right, a double non-points finish for Renault.
Yep.
McLaren Renault is a point ahead of Ferrari for fourth in the world Constructors' Championship. In fact, it's close. From Racing Point to McLaren to Ferrari, they're just 3 points apart. Ferrari is fifth with 61 points. It just seems like with them, it's always a one-driver team. Renault, 36 points after the first double non-points finish of the year. AlphaTauri Honda, they are seventh, 16 points so far, and then it starts to get pretty weak down here. Alfa Romeo Racing Ferrari, just 2 points.
2 points.
And Haas, Ferrari, just the sole point.
And then Williams, this grand number 0.
Just a big fat 0.
Yep. Yeah, it's oh my God.
Seems like they've not improved much over the last year or so.
Not really.
It's kind of weird. Williams said they improved their speed, but they kind of did on the straights. But, well, it's like when people say that Williams could get points, it's kind of funny, but it's like the time that when it's like when Ferrari said they got new upgrades, the car was slower than before. I'm like, yeah, new upgrades, what, to make the car slower or something?
I call that a downgrade.
Yeah, that's literally a downgrade. You can't, like, going slower on the straights is not an upgrade usually. If it's an upgrade, well, you're looking at it the wrong way, basically.
Right. So yeah, as for the next few races in the World Championship, because there are rumors that 2 new tracks will be possibly added to the 2020 World Championship. Those tracks include Jerez, which hosted the MotoGP opening 2 rounds this year in Spain, and Istanbul, which is which used to be host of the Turkish Grand Prix. We have not seen a Turkish Grand Prix since 2011. They had their first event from 2005 and ran in every year until 2011 at Istanbul Park. But rumors say that will change for 2020. We'll see them return. We'll see Jerez make their first appearance for the first time in a long time. The Spanish Grand Prix, of course, they've been racing at Barcelona, but they last ran at Jerez in 1990 when Prost brought his Ferrari to victory. Ever since then, they've been racing at this track in Catalunya.
What?
So, who knows? But as for what we know.
What? Wait, whoa, let me just go check.
As for what we know, the confirmed races will be at Belgium for the Spa Grand Prix. Probably one of the favorites amongst fans. 2 weeks from now, and then Monza. What can I say? A classic Grand Prix in Monza for the Italian Grand Prix on September 6th, and then the Tuscan Grand Prix, first ever Formula One World Championship race held in Mugello, which is in Tuscany in Italy. The Russian Grand Prix at Sochi on September 27th. The Nürburgring will come back for a race which is known as the Eiffel Grand Prix on October 11th. The Portuguese Grand Prix on October 25th will be the first time since 1996 that a Portuguese Grand Prix will be held. Instead of Estoril, it will be in Portimao for the first ever Formula One race in Portimao.
Yeah.
Joseph, by the way, you said the last time Jerez hosted the Spanish Grand Prix was in the 90s. Well, the actual last race they ran at the track was in 1997 with the European Grand Prix. But that was the race that Jacques Villeneuve and Michael Schumacher had that.
Yes.
That race. Yeah, where Michael Schumacher tried to turn into him, but got
People
himself.
still debate over what should have been the end result of that contact to this day.
It's like Michael Schumacher kept doing that to get championships sometimes.
Yeah,
driving
he got a taste of his own medicine.
And he was stuck in the gravel. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yep.
And then the last race for what we do know is called the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, which is in Imola.
Yep.
Part of Bologna in Italy. Of course, Imola is a very famous Formula One circuit, which used to host what was the San Marino Grand Prix until last time. That was in 2006.
That race.
1980 Italia Grand Prix.
Oh, gee. I just remembered about...
They'll be back for the first time in 14 years.
I just remembered about 2006, the San Marino Grand Prix, for kind of the wrong reasons of what happened on that opening lap. The thing that nobody wants to happen this time on the opening lap. Where Christian Albers flipped his Minardi because Yuji Ide in the Super Aguri Honda decided to dive the corner and clip his car. And that's how he got out of F1. His super license was revoked. So yeah, don't do something like that.
I mean, it's just what it is. That's the nature of Formula One.
Yep.
Well, they'll get a week off. They'll be back in Spa.
Yep.
2 weeks time. Well, let's take a look at some of the F2 action that has taken place over this last weekend for week 6 of what is a 10-week championship so far. Obviously, there's more races possibly to be announced.
Yeah.
Nobunaru Matsushita won the feature race. If you're familiar with Formula 2, the feature race works like this: top 10 get points, extra point for fastest lap. Pole position gets an extra point.
Yeah.
Matsushita won over Robert Schwartzman. Guanyu Zhou finished in 3rd. Yuki Tsunoda finished in 4th.
Yep.
Callum Ilott, the pole sitter, finished in 5th. Mick Schumacher 6th. Filip Drugovich in 7th. Luca Kyoto 8th. Dan Ticktum 9th. And Louis Delatraz finished 10th in the last point-paying position. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the F2 sprint race, the top 8 finishers get inverted.
And top 8 get points.
Yes, and only the top 8 get points in a shorter race.
In the sprint race, it was domination, basically.
Filip Drugovich, fastest lap.
9-second lead. He just dominated that race.
Luca Kyoto finished 2nd. Mick Schumacher 3rd. Yuki Tsunoda 4th over Nobunaru Matsushita. Nikita Mazepin in 6th. Pedro Piquet 7th. And Callum Ilott, pole position winner of the weekend, finished in 8th, the last points position for the sprint race.
Also, it was interesting. 2 wins for MP Motorsport. That's really better than last year, because last year they were kind of there, but their other driver was not there at all. Just saying. Like, it was a good weekend for the MP team, and Sean Galeo was actually hospitalized.
This is unfortunate. You don't want to see a driver get hurt.
I
think 2 or more weeks is what's the projected recovery.
He hit the curb at the final section. It was about 45 G impact on the curb, which hurt his spine. So that's why he was stopped.
Broken vertebrae.
So that's why he couldn't race. There was only 21 that ran on Sunday's sprint race. So hopefully recovers and everything, he gets better and all that.
Right. As for the Drivers' Championship, it looks like this. Callum Ilott, the youngster British driver, is first with 121 points over Robert Schwartzman. 103 points. Christian Lundgaard, the Dane, with 87 points. Yuki Tsunoda, 82 points. And 4th, Mick Schumacher is 5th with 79 points.
Yep.
Teams championship looks like this. UNI Virtuosi Racing leads that with 197 points over Primo Racing with 182 points. Art Grand Prix is there with 121 points. High Tech Grand Prix fourth with 118 points, and MP Motorsport fifth with 111 points. And they'll be back in 2 weeks' time with Formula One in Belgium at Spa on August 29th for week 7 of 10. I don't know why I wrote August 30th.
Well, I just realized hopefully Spa is better than last season because everybody knows.
It's unfortunate.
That was really not a good week. And I remember that podcast the Monday. That was Labor Day. I remember that podcast saying about the breaking news and everything.
Antoine Hubert's death was one of the biggest wake-up calls in motorsports.
Yeah. Because people say, "Oh, it's all safe and everything," but I'm like,
danger could still find its way through the cracks.
Yeah,
It'll get you in any moment.
Yeah, like that wreck was so scary with one moment.
I remember when it happened. It was during a hurricane.
Yeah,
Dorian. If you remember that podcast, I was in a hotel room. Completely
I remember that
on Monday.
Yeah, I remember you were. I remember that you were in a hotel, Joseph. I remember. During that, what happened, I was at a restaurant. I saw a red flag. I didn't know what happened until I got to my friend Alex's house. So I didn't know what happened, and
then it was even more alarming when they announced that both races weren't even going to happen after that.
And also I remember
something was up.
I remember Lewis Hamilton even saw the wreck. He was getting interviewed, and he saw the wreck. He was getting interviewed when he saw the crash. He was just so shocked hearing all of what happened.
I remember that day distinctly. I was at Watkins Glen, and I was at for an SRO race, and I was just browsing through my phone on the lunch break, and I saw there was a big red flag. I'm like, "Oh crap! What the heck just happened?" And I saw that it was one of those accidents where you see it, and you just know right off the bat someone's hurt.
Yeah,
and it's bad.
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Okay, this is not good."
Yeah,
and I was just holding my breath for the longest time, and I kept refreshing Twitter like every minute. And I saw the race was canceled, and I saw, they took a long time to clean it up, and they weren't saying anything. And when they're dead silent, that's when it gets when it's real bad. And and then they announced that he passed, and I was just like, God, people think that racing's so safe these days, and that was just a huge wake up call for everybody.
Yeah, it really is.
I've never seen that accident, and I stopped breathing for a solid few minutes because I just knew somebody was dead in that accident.
There are some crashes that happen in racing and big wake up calls in motorsport, but it's Antoine Hubert's death, unfortunately, is not the only time that it's happened. Just go back to the end of the Daytona 500 this year. It looked like terrible result was going to happen with Newman's condition in it. And then we, of course, Danny, you and I remember going live. We made a decision. Because after lap 150, we wanted to be told Twitter or everybody on Twitter after lap 150, if it's too late in the race, depending on what time that is, if it's a caution fest or a green flag stretch, it was a green flag stretch at the time, that we would announce everyone, okay, we're doing the podcast tonight. And if it's past a certain time of the night and it not hit lap 150 yet, then we would have done it Tuesday. So you had to stick to it. And plus, it would have been worse if the outcome was worse and we had a podcast. Don't ask.
God. Yeah, thank God Ray Newman is okay, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And before the race, he actually gave a big thank you to all the safety workers and EMT personnel at the track that saved his life after that big wreck earlier in this year.
Yeah. Because that accident was when I saw him, oh my God, oh my gosh,
I have never seen a bad wreck like that.
Yeah, and
But nonetheless, racing is a dangerous sport.
Yeah.
Let's just move on. Let's get into some Formula E. I know Formula E closed off their season. So the Formula E Prix, if you're new to Formula E, I'm definitely into Formula E now after watching the last 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
it had 3 parts. Changed the track layout a little bit between each part, within 4 races total, or 6 races total. 2 races for each part. So part 3 of the Berlin E-Prix was the last 2 races of the season, rounds 10 and 11 of the 11-race tour. Race 1, Oliver Rowland took the win from pole position and the fastest lap. He gets extra points from that for his final finishing position over Robin Fringe, who finished in second. Robin Fringe finished in the second spot. Rene Rast, group stage points, third. Andre Lauderer finished in fourth. And in fifth, Alexander Lynn, of course, top 10 in points. Neil Gianni in sixth. Mitch Evans, seventh. And Mario Mortara, eighth. Stoffel Vandoorne, ninth. And Sebastian Buemi, final points position in 10th. Race 2 looked a little differently. Stoffel Vandoorne over Nick DeVries, the 2 Mercedes drivers, 1 and 2. Vandoorne with pole position, got extra points, which was good enough to place him second in the final standings. We'll get into that a little bit later. Nick DeVries in second. Sebastian Buemi, group stage, in third. So he got extra points for being fastest in the group stage. Rene Rast, fourth. Sam Bird had the fastest lap, finishing fifth. Lucas Degrassi, sixth. Jean-Eric Verne in seventh. Alex Lynn in eighth. And ninth, Antonio Felix Acosta, the season champion, and Eduardo Mortara finished in 10th. Final standings look like this. Here's the top 10 final standings. Antonio Felix da Costa, the Portuguese driver, clinched the title just 2 races before the end. Well done for the DS Cheetah driver over Stoffel Vandoorne. 1 point. That win was good enough. And that extra pole position point was enough for him to pass Jean-Eric Verne for second in points. Jean-Eric Verne in third. So DS Cheetah may have won the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship, but no 1 and 2 in the Drivers' Championship. It's 1 and 3. Sebastian Buemi, fourth. Oliver Rowland, fifth. Lucas Degrassi, sixth. Mitch Evans, seventh. Andre Lauderer, eighth. Countryman Max Gunter in ninth, and Sam Bird in 10th. And the final standings for the teams championship, there were 12 teams in all. Every team except for one scored points. DS Cheetah, congratulations on the team's championship. Nissan E-Doms in second. Mercedes-Benz EQ Formula E team third, and Virgin Racing, the British team, finished in fourth, just 4 points over BMW Andretti Motorsport in fifth. That double non-points finish prevented them from getting fourth in the final Constructors' Championship. Audi Sport App Scheffler in sixth. Panasonic Jaguar Racing seventh. Tag Heuer Porsche Formula E team in eighth. Mahindra Racing in ninth. Rocket Venturi Racing 10th. Geox Dragon 11th, and Neo 333 Formula E team was the only team without any points.
That team was kind of embarrassing this season.
Yeah, that was horrible, man.
Like
I don't know what went wrong.
Well, like earlier in the season, before Daniel Abt, they have Quig Hamad that always qualified last and finished last, which is kind of like, it's just that team. Their only moment they had a good moment was in season 1 of Formula E when Nelson GK. Their
eyebrows got me distracted there.
Joseph.
Avalanche Coyotes.
Oh, I'm watching that. Jeez. Joseph, like, literally, the only moment that Neo 333 FE team had was the first season where Nelson PK Jr. got the title. Other than that, they've not been that good. That's their only.
They're the Williams of Formula E.
Yeah, they had a good season. Now they're
history bad season.
Yeah, I don't know how, but that Formula E season was quite decent. Like, it was interesting. Seeing different people winning races, except Antonio Felix.
A new car called Spark Gen 2 or also known as or actually called the Spark SRT 05E, or nicknamed the Spark Gen 2, was supposed to come out this next season, but due to the pandemic, testing and all that changed.
Yeah.
So they'll be running the same car template going into this next season. Schedule and all that still unknown, but nonetheless, an exciting end to the Formula E season that was put on hold. It's unfortunate for those other tracks and facilities that didn't get the chance to hold a race this season, but hopefully when this pandemic can screw off in the future, we'll see those tracks get their chance.
Yeah.
All right, where do we sit now? Let's talk sports car racing. We're the only sports car race that we'll get into this weekend is the FIA World Endurance Championship. In fact, their first race back since the 6-hour Lone Star Le Mans race at COTA, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, on February 23rd.
Yep.
So that was a long break. Yeah, don't get me started on what the event was supposed to be next after that.
Oh, yeah. A race I could have gone to. Actually, no, I was supposed to go to Homestead. I forgot about it.
Yeah,
you were
but
supposed to go to Homestead. I was like, why don't you get it down to Sebring? And then all of a sudden, everything's shutting down. I'm like,
Yeah, exactly. But the 6 hours of Spa took place, and obviously last week, we saw the 4 hours of Spa for the European Le Mans Series, which I think the FIA, ACO, and everybody involved with those two divisions made a right call to have the ELMS race, and then the next week the World Endurance Championship, make it convenient for the teams that are able to show up. Now, not everyone was able to make it, but for the teams that were able to make it, they had some less pressure from these past 2 weeks. But as for yesterday or 2 days ago, we saw Toyota getting the win, number 7.
Yeah, number 7.
Toyota, driven by Mike Conway Kobayashi, Jose Maria Lopez.
Yep.
Over the number 8 Toyota, the number 1 Rebellion Racing, and the number 4 Baikals Racing. Finished fourth, only 4 cars in the LMP1 for this event. In the LMP2 class, United Autosport picked up where they left off, ×2. Yes, because last week, Paul di Resta, Philippe Albuquerque, Phil Hansen, they won the 4 hours of Spa in the European Le Mans Series. The last World Endurance Championship race was won by those 3 drivers for United Autosport as well. Actually, the last 2 races, they are 3 in a row, just going off on a tear. They finished over the number 42 Cool Racing, number 29 Racing Team Netherlands, the number 38 Jota, and the number 47 Satila Racing.
Yeah.
There were only 6 cars in the LMGT Pro class, which I'll just list all the finishers, but the winners in that category was the number 92 Porsche GT team, Michael Christian, Kevin Estre behind the wheel of that car. Finishing over the 2 Aston Martins, the number 95 Aston Martin Racing over teammate 97. Your podium looked like that. And then AF Corsa Ferrari number 51 finished in 4th. The number 91 Porsche GT team, the factory Porsche team, finished in 5th. And then in 6th, we had the number 71 AF Corsa Ferrari. As for the GTEM team, a lot of these teams came from the 4 hours of Spa race last week. There was a number 83 AF Corsa Ferrari, driven by Francois Parado, Nicholas Nielsen, and Emmanuel Collard, taking the Ferrari to P1 on the top step of the podium over the number 77 Dempsey Proton Racing Porsche, the number 90 TF Sport Aston Martin finished 3rd, the number 56 Team Project 1 Porsche finished 4th over the number 88 Dempsey Proton Racing Porsche.
I'm confused. Every time I've noticed, every time I don't pick the 90 for the GTM class, they every time I don't pick the 90, they win. Every time I pick the 90, they don't win. It's like every time I pick someone else, the 90 wins, or if I pick the 90, somebody else wins. It's like, and I never expected to see the 7 beat the 8, but it was good for the 7, which I actually checked the standings. The 7 is the leader over the 8 Toyota. Because I never expected to see the 7 get a win, but good win for that number 7 Toyota.
Gazoo Racing 151 points over Rebellion Racing 90 points, and then Team L&T, the Janetta team, did not show up, so they sit at 29 points. As for the GTE championship manufacturers points look like this: Aston Martin 219 points over Porsche with 190 points, and Ferrari with 166 points this season. So Aston Martin has a chance to bank if they succeed at Le Mans, which we'll see next month. That's a big race for everyone. As for LMP2s, the 22 United Autosport, what can I say? They are just on a tear, no matter where they go. 120 points over Jackie Chan DC Racing number 37, 98 points. Racing Team number 29, 91 points. Number 38 Joda Sport, still recovering after getting disqualified after the Fuji round, 89 points in 4th. The Cool Racing Swiss team number 42 is in 5th with 79 points, just 10 points behind the bunch ahead of them, of course, being Joda Sport. As for GTM, it is the number. It's a close one. 2 points separate the top two. Number 83, of course, a Ferrari, 110 points over the number 90 TF Sport. Aston Martin, 98 points. Team Project 1, Porsche number 57 is there with 81.5 points. The number 98 Aston Martin Racing Vantage is 4th with 80.5 points, so it's close for 3rd. And then in 5th, Dempsey Proton Racing sits at 61.5 points. Obviously, the next race is the biggest one of them all. The 24 Hours of Le Mans, a crown jewel event just like the Indy 500 that is just off a weird place in the calendar. Nonetheless,
Yep.
It is the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That will be on September 19th to 20th, the week of September 19th to 20th of 2020. We're just short from a month before that event, and I'm excited. It's unfortunate there'll be no fans, but nonetheless, round 7 and 8 is the grandest of them all, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the 88th running of the race. You guys have any words on that?
I feel like Le Mans could be interesting. Like, every team will have to get ready and all that, and also, hopefully, remember that number 36 car. Hopefully, they have enough cars and ready, because remember what happened? They crashed during the race. The 36 LMP2 car had a violent crash.
Oh, yeah, for top spot. Thomas Laurent.
He was battling with the Racing Team Netherlands number 29, and they made contact, and I'm glad he was okay after that accident. That was a
wicked it's their home track.
Yep. Hopefully they have bodies and all that. They get the cars. Hope they have enough resources.
I think they're gonna be good to go.
Hopefully, because
families over there.
They didn't want to get a crash like that, because that really sucks for them. Like, then they have to really work hard to prepare the Le Mans car now, because they teared up that other car, which they didn't expect to tear up a car. Like, they were just running strong until they crashed, which I'm glad I'm glad Thomas Laurent was okay after that violent impact in the tire barrier.
Yeah, that just shows you the safety precautions that the officials take to keep our drivers safe.
Yep.
And yeah, that resulted in a safety car. The race started behind the safety car.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right.
Real heavy rain, and but let me tell you though, it's a far cry from the year before because it was actually snowing last year at Spa.
Oh yeah, I remember that at Spa
Yeah, I
last
remember
year.
that.
I remember Joseph was like, "It's snowing at Spa." I'm like, "Let's get snow
Like,
tires
I've
on."
never seen snow at Spa
And
ever.
plus, that race was actually in May, so it was snowing in May. But then I said for a joke to Joseph, "Hey, let's just put snow tires on." But they don't have snow tires.
I like how they just red flag it and call it a night.
Yeah.
They stayed with it.
Yep.
Hey,
Talk about
Nope.
going to the end.
snow
Yep.
melts on surfaces, and cars are hot, so it melts the snow right off the surface.
So yeah, I think in all honesty, the FIA did a pretty good job holding the WC race for this year or this weekend at Spa. It feels like this year. It felt like a year since the last event.
Yeah, it was a while.
They did a good job, and sports car racing doesn't rely on one sanctioning body. These teams, they go everywhere where they can.
Yep.
And it worked. I think we had a pretty good entry list. It's unfortunate that Gabriel Aubry was tested positive for COVID-19.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get those. It's like I just don't know when it's all going to end. I'm hoping that by this time next year we're all back to normal schedules and everybody's all back and healthy. Everybody gets vaccinated.
Yeah.
Everybody gets that.
I
Everybody gets that
I
darn
hope
shot.
it's by the end of the year.
Yeah,
I really
because
hope so.
because people don't understand what's going on. Like literally, because I graduated high school this year. I remember I applied for a janitor job in a school. Do you want to know what's so bad about what's going on? Because of all the precautions, they need more janitors because after every class they have to go clean the bathrooms and clean everything because they have to sanitize. So they are doing all those safety precautions because they don't want people to get infected and all that.
Well, it's a far cry from when I was in high school. When I was in high school, I was told the floors only get cleaned once a year. Was during the summertime.
Well, for me,
Let's leave it at that.
they clean the floors every day because people bring mud in the school every day for no reason.
All right, let's move on to supercars. The Virgin Australia or BP Ultimate Australia Supercars Championship raced at the Hidden Valley Raceway for the Darwin Triple Crown, week 5 of 13, and rounds 13, 14, 50 of what is currently a 33 race season. Now, there's been a lot of mid-season changes. Will be at Darwin again this upcoming weekend, but 3 races took place. Jamie Whincup, the overall winner with an average finish, better than any other driver for the Darwin Triple Crown. So race 1 looked like this. Anton De Pasquale, who started 6th, led 29 laps for his first career win, driving for Yerbis Motorsport, the Penrite Racing Holden. It's very, very impressive performance by the young. So we've seen a lot of surprises this year.
Yeah, we have.
It's, Nick Percat, now Anton De Pasquale. It's without a doubt.
Oh, jeez. It's
It's been a good one. James Courtney, 2010 champion in the Boost Mobile car for Tickford Racing, finished 2nd, started 8th for his 69th career podium. Scott Pye finished 3rd, started 10th for his 8th career podium. And the rest of the top 5 like this: Mark Winterbottom led 2 laps, started 4th. Chris Pither finished 5th, started in the 19th spot. Race 2. Scott McLaughlin, 48th career win, led 12 laps, from the pole. Finishing second, Jamie Whincup. Whincup started fourth for his 243rd career podium in race 2. Fabian Coulthard finished third, led 5 laps, started second for his 58th career podium. Fourth place, Shane Van Gisbergen led 1 lap, started 7th. And fifth place, David Reynolds led 20 laps, started he started 17. I don't know, 7. I'm lost. All right. Yeah, David Reynolds finished 5th after leading 20 laps. Race 3, Jamie Whincup led 12 laps, started second.
Unbelievable.
Clinched the overall weekend Darwin Triple Crown victory and scored his 120th career win over Scott McLaughlin, who started off the pole, led 5 laps for his 94th career podium. Shane Van Gisbergen in third. Van Gisbergen started third for his 110th career podium. Fourth place, Chaz Mostert started fourth. Fabian Coulthard started 6th, finished 5th. And 7th place, Mark Winterbottom led 21 laps from the 14th spot. Season standings look like this. Scott McLaughlin with 1,024 points over Jamie Whincup, who has 923 points, 101 point difference.
Wow.
The 2 drivers. Remember, point increments are pretty large in the Virgin Australia Supercar series. And Chaz Mostert is down minus 100 between Whincup, so that's third for him. He's sitting at 814 points. Shane Van Gisbergen is fourth with 753 points. David Reynolds fifth with 736 points. Blake Cool in the chat. Hey guys. Hey Blake, it's been a while. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video, share it. If you guys have any questions for Robby, he's right here. Robby Noonan, aka Race Day 2011. We'll have that Indy 500 discussion at the end of the podcast, so you guys be ready for that. You're still going over some motorsports. Teams Championship. DJR Team Penske 1200.
In first place.
Yes, P1.
Wow.
It's called Triple Eight Race Engineering, 1,234 points. They sit second. Tickford/23 Red Racing, that the other Tickford pair, they're in third with 1,060 points. Brad Jones Racing is fourth with 1,000 points, and Tickford Racing, the usual Tickford Racing pair, not the one that 23 Red Racing had before they shut down. They're fifth with 993 points. So they'll be back this weekend for the Darwin Super Sprint, week 6 of 13, rounds 16, 17, 18 of the 33 race tour. So is the chase for 8th a feasible thing for Jamie Whincup? I want to hear you guys' takes.
Oh boy. I know, Joseph, you're going to be all over me on this one, but I think for one time, I could swallow my pride and say Jamie Whincup can go for 8. With me being a Scott McLaughlin fan. What do you think, Justin?
I feel like he can. It's just he has to be like he has to, consistent. He doesn't want to be finishing last in every race and not get points because he wants to get maximum points and all that instead of just getting low amount of points. So he has a good chance of doing that. He has a good shot at getting 8.
Boy, me being a big Scott McLaughlin fan, my personal bias is like, I want Scott McLaughlin to win it all. But, you never can count out Jamie Whincup because it always seems like even when Scott McLaughlin lost the championship, it was always like Whincup was always there. Like, he's always there pouncing. Like, he's just the guy you can't get rid of. Like, he's always there. Like, he's in the top 5. He's in for podiums. right there with Scotty. You know, it's like even Scotty could be winning all these races and whatnot, but Jamie Whincup's just lurking in the background. Let's not forget though, he won like 4 or 5 consecutive championships in a row in the course of his career, so he knows how to win these things.
Yeah, and if you just go back to last year, 18 wins, more wins than any other driver in Australian touring car history. Just an outstanding record. It almost looked like he was robotically winning. When I say robotically, it looked like just no one could actually do it if they tried. But Jamie Whincup is a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, I'm just quoting your words there, Blake. Can't count him out. He's a veteran, chasing 8. I think we're going to see something successful down the lines if the championship schedule stays where it's at. I mean, just looking at it now, we have Darwin again this weekend, the Super Sprint. Townsville, a double header. And then Sandown, which is a sprint weekend. Obviously, the Bathurst 1000, October 11th, Perth. If everything stays the way it is now, then that's the calendar. Tasmania and Sydney Super Night. So another Sydney race weekend where Whincup has been pretty decent. And with that said, I'll be back this weekend. We'll talk more about supercars when we get into race predictions. Other than that, let's go ahead and check out some of the other races that happened this weekend, starting with ARCA for the Daytona 100 at the Daytona Road Course, round 12 of 18. Michael Self, the championship leader, does what he needs to do best. Win the race. Led 9 laps over Ty Gibbs, the only 2 leaders of the race. Ty Gibbs led early on. He led 19 laps, finished second. Sam Mayer and Colin Brown finished third. Taylor Gray, a decent run for Taylor Gray, fourth. And Will Rogers, who I thought was going to win the race, finished in fifth. I guess the yellows didn't line up in his fashion.
You know, it didn't surprise me Ty Gibbs was so good on the road course. You know, like I was actually over at the SVRA race last year, and Ty Gibbs actually had some Trans Am experience. So it does not surprise me that Ty Gibbs is actually quite skilled in a road course race car. Of course, Colin Brown, we don't know where his experience came from. And Will Rogers, you can never count him out. I mean, he absolutely destroyed the competition when I saw him in New Jersey Motorsports Park. I mean, that guy's always practically winning a race when it comes to on a road course. But, you know, Michael Stelp, you know, he's just untouchable. I mean, what do you win, like last 2 championships in ARCA?
Well, we'll have to see where this all plays out. I mean, of course, Ty Gibbs is not in the championship hunt, but he sure has proved himself on the road courses. Just don't judge based off his last name. He's got talent himself. You know, never a given that you have talent in a race car. It's always a proven, and he's proven himself. So far, so good. As for the standings, it's like this. Michael Stelf is in the championship lead. He's 591 points over Brett Holmes. Brett Holmes is a privateer driver competing for a championship against factory drivers. Now, that's cool.
Yeah, like, he doesn't have, like, his main manufacturer, Chevy, but at Phoenix, he ran a Toyota. And at the Daytona road course, he was in a Ford. So he switches manufacturers.
And he doesn't get the same fundings and support that most drivers, the drivers he's competing for a championship against, are getting on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Tied for third and fourth with 535 points is Drew Dollar, Haley Deegan. And in fifth with 499 points is Ted Moffitt.
Yep.
So they'll be back on August 29th, so they get a week off
at Gateway
for round 13 of 18.
Yep.
I think the round after that's New Hampshire. I'm debating on whether to go to that race or not. They're having fans there, so I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go see the ARCA East guys. Is that the last race of the championship for them, or is that the penultimate round?
Let me check.
It's been a while since ARCA had their East Series.
Yeah, ARCA East will be running at Dover this weekend. Let me check ARCA East schedule just to make sure.
Five Flags has been moved to October 10th, so it's the second to last race.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
And remember, these cars are interchangeable. You can run the ARCA East and West cars since they're no longer the K&N series. They have the same specs now. They can race with the main series on the West series or the I call it the National series.
Yeah.
Or the East series.
Like literally, like
we'll have to see where it stands at Dover this weekend.
Because remember remember the Daytona Road Course, there were some drivers from different series, because for other teams that are joining like ARCA for some races, if you have the same number, you have to put a letter next to the number. So there was two number 17s. So Will Rogers was the 17W because Taylor Gray ran the 17 for DJ Crosley. Oh.
Mm-hmm. So that said, let's move on to another race that we've covered. MotoGP, which was the fourth round of a 14-race 2020 season, as for now, where it stands. The Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Styria, Austria. Andrea Dovizioso won in his Ducati over Suzuki's Johan Mir. Jack Miller, third. Brad Binder, fourth. Valentino Rossi escaped horror. If you saw the crash that brought out the red flag, stopping the race after lap 8, when Johan Zarco and Franco Morbidelli had a scary, just terrible crash. And the race restarted with 20 laps. But you guys saw the crash when it happened.
It was I was like that was like when I saw the crash, I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like I had no words after that crash.
People undermine that MotoGP isn't just a spread out race. Everybody is in close corners with each other. You're going at fast speeds, like we're talking 160 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's not a car where it's closed up. No, you have a motorbike which is open. There's no doors on it. Yeah, it's more. It's really. The
fact that bike missed Valentino Rossi by just so close, and Rossi was able to come back, finish 5th, shows you the grit these athletes had.
Yeah.
And both drivers were okay. They were conscious, alert, talking to paramedics, which is it's not a relief amongst many, but there was so much damage, debris. The race had to be stopped. They resumed it with 20 laps, and Dovizioso won. Just great effort. So the 2020 MotoGP Riders Championship looks like this. Fabio Quartararo still holds strong, 11 points over Andrea Dovizioso. So Quartararo 67 points, Dovizioso with 56 points. Maverick Vinales, who scored pole position yesterday, is third with 48 points. Brad Binder, the young rider from South Africa who pulled off that upset in Brno, Czech Republic last week, is fourth in points. Remember, he brought Red Bull KTM their very first win, and it was just something no one saw coming in the world of MotoGP. But Binder is currently fourth with 41 points. Valentino Rossi, the veteran, is fifth with 38 points so far. As for the team's championship, it is Petronas Yamaha SRT, 98 points. That means they're 12 points over the Monster Energy Yamaha MotoGP team with 86 points. 22 points behind the leader. In third is the Mission Winnow Ducati team. They really cashed big with that win yesterday, 76 points. And fourth is the Red Bull KTM Factory Racing with 60 points, 10 points over the team Suzuki X-Star, 50 points claimed for them so far in 2020. As for the manufacturer standings, Yamaha all by themselves in first with 81 points. They have won all but 2 races this year. Second in points, after scoring their first win in 2020, Ducati. Second with 67 points. Third is KTM with 57 points. Suzuki is fourth, 44 points over Honda. They sit in fifth with 37 points. And with 16 points in sixth is Aprilia with no finish above 10th this year.
Like I remember, Joseph, you said about Mission Winnow. Well, are they better than Ferrari with that sponsor? Because Ferrari has Mission Winnow on their car, and that's not working too well for the Ferrari team in F1 with trying to win a race.
No.
Nope.
Not at all. They'll be back next week at the same circuit for the Styrian Grand Prix, round 5 of 14. They ran 2 races in Jerez, and they'll be running their second race at the same track for the second time this season in the Red Bull Ring. All right. Now, let's get into some race previews. This is where most of you guys have been waiting for in the podcast. We're going to be talking a lot about Indy. But we have this week. Yeah, Blake Huell says in the chat, and is anyone familiar with what Mission Winnow is? I don't even know what they are.
Subliminal Marlboro advertisement. That's the way to get around with the governments.
I'm just checking. Mission Winnow, I'm on their website.
It's crap.
What the heck is this?
It's like rocket science, them explaining it. In short, it's all right, we're trying to get around the federal guidelines for advertising our cigarettes, so we're just going to put Mission Winnow instead of Marlboro on there.
Yeah, it's basically that.
Tobacco?
Yep,
yeah.
It's basically that. Okay, now people know what it is. It's like people are confused about Husky chocolate. That's on the back of the McLaren, and I guess it's a chocolate milk brand that costs a lot of money for one bottle. It's almost like Rich Energy, where how hard to find that. I remember people trying to find Rich Energy, and yeah, Rich Energy was the weirdest sponsor. I mean, kind of weird.
They had one of the worst people behind their social media / PR.
Yep. Yeah, and they were really happy over a test session, which I don't know why. They were over the moon about one test session, which is kind of weird. It's like, yeah. So I'm glad Rich Energy's not in F1 anymore, because that sponsor is kind of that sponsor's just. I'm glad that's not an F1, so no controversy and everything.
Well, certainly, they've made their flaws very well on a global platform.
Yeah, and stealing logos like the White Bikes logo, which was the same thing. Which is like, how'd you manage to do that? Like,
all right, let's get into some. All right, let's go ahead and look ahead now this weekend for what's to come. The NASCAR Cup Series will be racing at Dover for rounds 24 and 25 of 36. They are really close to the end of the regular season. We'll get into that a little bit later. The NASCAR Xfinity Series for Dover, rounds 20 and 21 of 33. And the NASCAR Truck Series, Dover 200, round 13 of 23 for this weekend at the Monster Mile. As for IndyCar, the Indianapolis 500, the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500, round 7 was currently a 12-race calendar. We'll get into that last. As for supercars, the Darwin Super Sprint for week 6 of 13, rounds 16, 17, and 18 of their 33-race tour. And as for sports car, the one sports car event that we'll get into is the
Michelin GT Challenge at VIR. That's the only sports car event.
Right. All right, let's start off with Dover. And let's hear those race predictions. Rounds 24 and 25 and 36. Last year's winners were Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Larson. First race was ran back in 1969, won by Richard Petty. The track was built in 1966, but it took them 4 years to get their first event underway. Jimmy Johnson has the most wins in the NASCAR Cup Series at the Delaware Capital with 11 wins.
11 wins.
And his last win in the Cup Series happens to be at Dover.
3 years ago in 2017.
Right. Bobby Allison and Richard Petty have 7 wins each. Jeff Gordon and David Pearson have 5 wins, respectively. Bill Elliott, Harry Gant, Mark Martin, and Ricky Rudd have 4 wins in the Monster Mile. Kyle Busch, Dale Earnhardt, Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart, Martin Truex Jr., Rusty Walls, and Cale Yarbrough have 3 wins at the Monster Mile, while Greg Biffle, Neil Bonnet, Kevin Harvick, Benny Parsons, and Darrell Waltrip have 2 victories, respectively, at this track. As for the fall race at Dover, the most team wins, Hendrick Motorsports with 10 over Penske Racing with 6 wins, Roush Fenway Racing with 5, Petty Enterprises with 4, Wood Brothers Racing with 3, as well as Bud Moore Engineering. They have 3 wins apiece. Junior Johnson and Associates, Jai Gardner Motorsports, Mach 1 Racing, Melling Racing, Richard Childress Racing, and Joe Gibbs Racing all have 2 wins each in the fall Dover race. As for the fall Dover racing, manufacturers' most wins, Chevy has 21, more than any other brand, over Ford with 12, Dodge with 6, Mercury, Buick, Pontiac, and Toyota, 2 wins apiece, Plymouth and Oldsmobile 1. So yeah, a half-centennial event, as the numbers don't lie. With that said, which driver will win race 1 and which driver will win race 2? We got 2 races. They are 311 miles, 500 km each.
311 laps. Oof. I'm trying to think. I gotta do my research.
It's not hard to bet against Kevin Harvick these days, ain't it? I mean, that guy's been on fire, man.
Yes, I had to point that out. Robbie is right. It's basically tobacco advertising in disguise. Yeah, you can't even pull out Marlboro on a Formula One car like you could 15 years ago.
I almost click Homestead. I don't want Homestead stats. Okay.
So, race 1. Who wins race 1 on a Saturday afternoon?
Okay. My pick, this driver, he has 1 win at this racetrack in 8 starts. But he has 6 top 5s, 6 top 10s, and 7 top 20s. He has a good average finish of the 8.63. My pick is the number 9. Chase Elliott is going to win at Dover on Saturday.
on Saturday, like I was mentioning earlier, it really is hard to bet against Kevin Harvick these days, and that guy's just got these things figured out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're usually fast off the gate. It takes somebody like somebody else like Chase Elliott to figure it out. Like Harvick will be fast off the gate. He wins race 1. I think Chase wins race 2.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, my pick for race number 2. This driver, he has been close at winning at this racetrack, but he has 2 top 5s and 2 top 10s and 3 top 20s in his career at this track, because this driver has never been in that powerhouse equipment for his whole career. He's been with backmarker teams for the first 2 years of his career. And he was good last time. Last season, he finished good in both races. My pick is the number 88. Alex Bowman's going to win race 2 at Dover.
All right, so for race 1 at Dover, last year, Kyle Larson drove the number 42 Chip Ganassi Racing Chevy to victory lane. The driver who's in the car has not seen much success in his untimely return to NASCAR and Matt Kenseth, but nonetheless, Kenseth is seeking his 4th win at Dover. Last time that happened was back in 2016. He won a thriller over Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott. They were both going at him at the end, and Carl Edwards was there too. And
no, Edwards crashed.
Yeah, Edwards crashed in the end, but
Edwards crashed with 40 to go. Larson clipped Edwards.
But I think it's going to be a surprise. Matt Kenseth is going to win at Dover for race 1.
Oh, you got a long shot here.
I never expected that.
He has 3 wins there. I know it's been a while.
Well, I picked Matt Kenseth, Kentucky, and that didn't go well. Who would
have thought Cole Custer would win that race?
Well, Matt Kenseth got dumped at the end by Ryan Newman to get that final caution.
Ryan Newman has 3 wins at Dover as well, but I don't know if Newman's equipment might.
Well, Roush has not been the best at Dover in a while.
No. But for race 2, this driver has done this 3 times, or has done this twice. Win 3 races at the same event for 3 different teams. Obviously, I'd be referring to Sonoma when Martin Truex Jr. won for Michael Waltrip, Furniture Row, and Joe Gibbs Racing. But there's another track where that's happened, and that would be Dover.
Yep.
His very first win was one of the most popular first career events in a long time in 2007 for DEI. In fact, that was the last time DEI won in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Yep.
Unless you're a hardcore fan, and especially a fan of Regan Smith, then you would be challenging what I just said. But
Stewart.
And then Martin Truex Jr. won again in 2016
for Furniture Row.
Yes, for Furniture Row, and then a third time last year in the first race at Dover, which was for Joe Gibbs Racing. So I'm gonna say Martin Truex Jr. will win race 2 and finally get the job done with James Small on top of the pit box. They're gonna pull some decent Cole Pern-like strategy.
Speaking of Cole Pern, he's going to be on the pit box for Connor Daly next Sunday.
Yep. Oh wait.
Yeah. So I think Robbie, you made your predictions.
Oh, I did. I said Harvick would win race number 1, and you go to race number 2. I think Chase is gonna win it. Second race.
All right. Let's move on to the NASCAR Xfinity Series for their weekend at Dover, rounds 20 and 21 of 33. Last year, Cole Custer and Christopher Bell won their 2 races at Dover. But the first race was held in 1982, the first established season of the Busch Series, won by Joe Ruttman. Kyle Busch has the most wins in the Xfinity Series at Dover over Joey Logano. Logano has 4 wins. Todd Bodine, Carl Edwards share 3 wins respectively. Christopher Bell, Greg Biffle, Clint Boyer, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Harry Gant, Denny Hamlin, Matt Kenseth, Randy LaJoie, Robert Presley, Darrell Waltrip, Michael Waltrip, and Martin Truex Jr. all share 2 wins in the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Dover. As for the fall race at Dover, Joe Gibbs Racing holds the win record at 7. Over Whitaker Racing and Team Penske, they have 3 wins apiece. Base Motorsports, Riser Enterprises, and Richard Childress Racing have 2 wins each. I don't know why my mind was telling me to say Jason Keller. I don't know why. Maybe I was thinking of that one time when he drove for Base Motorsports. Most wins in the fall. Chevy with 16 over Toyota. 10 wins separate the two. Toyota has 6. Ford with 5, and then the defunct manufacturers for NASCAR, Buick with 4, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, and Dodge with 1 win each. So 2 races. Race 1 on Saturday, race 2 on Sunday. Who wins race 1?
You know, part of me is wanted to say one of the Junior Motorsports guys. I might lean towards maybe Gregson. I'll lean towards Gregson for race 1.
You go back to his days in the Truck Series. Noah Gragson almost won in 2017 before crashing while battling Johnny Sauter for the win. Johnny Sauter went up to take the win, but obviously that was 3 years ago. Times have changed. I think Gragson might have a good chance to win race 1, but I'm going to go with experience in Chase Briscoe.
Okay, my pick for race 1, this driver, he doesn't have the bad average finish at this track. His average finish is 12.5. That's his average finish at the track. This driver drives car number 8, but it's not the same driver that people usually see in the 8. This driver, he's run for backmarker teams and good teams. Jed Byrne is going to win at Dover for race number 1.
Wait, what?
I said Jed Byrne. He is in the 8. Yeah, he's running the 8 on Saturday.
And Sunday?
No, Sunday it's Hemrick in the 8 on Sunday. Byrne's running Saturday's race. Oh, let me check for a pick for Sunday's race.
As for race 2 on Sunday, I'm going to go with so I said Chase Briscoe on Saturday, right? Who's the driver that's challenging Chase Briscoe on a weekly basis? The only other Ford driver with factory support this season, Austin Cindric.
Okay. My pick for race 2 is another Chevrolet, but not from Junior Motorsports. My pick, this driver has 2 starts at this track last year. Average finish at 10.5. This driver drives for Colleague Racing. Justin Haley will win at Dover on Sunday.
Justin Haley, that's a pretty good pick right there. That's a sleeper almost.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say Chase Briscoe. You know why? Because I consider Dover, it's like you really have to be on the wheel at that track, like a dirt track. That guy's a wheel man. I think he'll match for race number 2.
So yeah, with that said, let's move on to the Truck Series. For the Dover 200, it's round 13 of 23. Last year, Johnny Sauter took the win. It was his only victory of the season. First race was won by Kurt Busch in 2000, 20 years ago. 2 drivers have multiple victories. Kyle Busch has the most wins at 4 over Johnny Sauter, who has 3 consecutive Dover Truck Series wins, including last year and in the previous 2 years with GMS Racing.
Oh, it's not hard to bet against him then.
All right, so as for the Truck Series, there's just one race for the trucks, unlike Cup and Xfinity. So it's going to be P1 after 200 miles.
Okay. My pick, this driver, he has an average finish of 9th place at Dover in his only truck start there last year. He also, this driver did, like in 2018, this driver did finish 13th en route to his back then in 2018 K&N East title. Tyler Ankrum is going to win at Dover for his 2nd career win.
This is more of an obligation. If I don't say this driver, my friend Josh is going to put me off his friends list. Sheldon Creed.
I'm going to go with experience at a track like this without a single session. Don't forget, Johnny Sauter. He's going to win.
Okay.
I mean, he's going to bring ThorSport into a 3-way tie for most team wins, which is Kyle Busch Motorsports and Ultra Motorsport. And, of course, you go down the list, Roush Fenway, Billy Ballou, GMS, and ThorSport with 2 wins. If Sauter wins, it'll be another win for ThorSport, another win for Sauter's going to make 2 records changed. Time for most driver wins and time for most team wins. So I'm going to Johnny Sauter.
Well, do you know what's funny? That I just looking through driver averages, Kurt Busch only had 1 full season of truck competition. He won the only truck race at Dover, so he's the only driver with an average finish of 1.0 at Dover in the trucks because he won that only race he ran in the trucks at Dover. He won it, so his average finish is 1st. But
that was nearly Casey Kane's record. Casey Kane.
Yeah.
Almost won in every truck start, but the one he didn't win, he finished 2nd.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Manufacturers list: Toyota, Dodge, Chevy, Ford. So Toyota with 7 wins, Dodge, Chevy, and Ford tie with 4 wins. So that would make Ford break that 3-way tie and hit 5 wins if Sauter wins. But we'll have to see what happens when the green flag drops.
Yeah, and at least I could watch that race on TV, not like the road course, because
And before we get into the best part about this podcast, the one everyone's here for, the Indy 500 predictions, but let's get into just 2 more races. The Darwin Super Sprint for the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. 3 races. Who's going to win race 1, race 2, and race 3? Make this quick.
Okay, race 1, I have Scott McLaughlin. Race 2, I have Shane Van Gisbergen in race 2. And race 3, Scott McLaughlin.
I'm going to go with Scotty the first race. Well, I'm going to try to be as non-biased as I can possibly be. Scotty for the first race. I'm going to have to go with Jamie Whincup for race number 2. And let's go with David Reynolds for race number 3. Let's do that.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go with Jamie Whincup. He's going to win race 1, race 2, and David Reynolds will win race 3. Scott is going to go without a win this weekend.
Oh.
The championship will get close between 1st and 2nd. Just watch it happen. All right, and we'll just get into sports cars, just the GT classes, GT3s, the GT Daytona class, which is called an IMSA, and then the GTLM class, which runs the GTE spec. They'll be racing at VIR this weekend. Who's going to win GTLM?
My pick for GTLM is the number 3 Corvette Racing Chevy.
I'm going to go with the number 4 Corvette.
Yeah, I'm going to go against both of you. I'm going for the 911 Porsche.
Yeah, don't discount experience.
Yeah.
And as for GTM, Only I would knock my own microphone off my face.
Well, at least it's better than your old mic that kept muting every minute.
But maybe that's just a knock on myself for making stupid predictions. I mean, hey, sometimes they work. But as for GT Daytona, the GT3 class, I'm going to go with the number 14 Lexus.
My pick is the number 86 Meyershank Racing Acura.
Oh, it's a tough one for me. I'm either going with the 57 or I'm going to go with the number 12 Lexus. You know what? Let's say I'm going to go for number 12 Lexus. Even though T-Bell will be absent for that race, for obvious reasons. I want to see the number 12 get it.
Alrighty, so I think that we're good on that. And now we're finally ready for this part of the podcast. Come on. There we go. All right. The 104th Indianapolis 500 is the 7th race of the 2020 IndyCar season. Now, unlike most years in probably history of just human existence, the Indy 500 would only be on Memorial Day weekend. It is always something that you can guarantee will end up on the schedule for a yearly. It's like a holiday.
Yeah.
It is a holiday.
It is a holiday.
Yeah.
The Memorial Day Sunday is a race fan stream. This year, things took a turn for the worse. We had no idea a pandemic would move the Indy 500 out of the month of May for the first time in its history.
Yeah, and it's in August. Nobody expects this to be in August because people say, "Oh, August is so hot, it's annoying."
But here we are.
And it's kind of weird instead of hearing people say it's the month of May, people are saying it's the month of August.
Like the month of August and the month of May, whatever you guys want to call it. It is the 2020 Indianapolis 500, the 104th running of the race. So let's get into some fun facts, starting with the Indianapolis 500 itself. The first race was ran back in 1911, won by Ray Haroon, a pioneer driver who brought his Marmon to victory after 6 hours and 42 minutes with an average speed of 74.59 miles per hour. You could tell how much racing has evolved in 109 years. Last year, of course, the winner was Simon Pagenaud, but on the most wins list, that is 3 drivers on the what feels like unapproachable 4 winners club. And only one driver this year, of course, in Elliott can reach it. The 4 winners club is AJ Foyt, Al Unser, and Rick Mears.
Yep.
These drivers who have 3 wins include Louis Meyer, Wilbur Shaw, Maury Rose, Johnny Rutherford, Bobby Unser, Elliott Castroneves, who was in this year's race, and Dario Franchitti. With 2 wins, those drivers include Tommy Milton, Bill Vukovich, Roger Ward, Gordon Johncock, Emerson Fittipaldi, Al Unser Jr., Ari Leindyke, Dan Weldon, and Juan Pablo Montoya. As for teams that have won for the most team wins, it's the team literally owns the track now, and Team Penske.
How many wins?
18 wins, including last year, in the last 2 years, over Team Green, Andretti Green, or now Andretti Autosport.
Yeah.
6 wins. That's more than double the amount of victories for those guys.
Wow.
Compared to Team Penske. Lou Moore has 5 wins. Of course, that team is no longer in existence.
Yeah.
Chip Ganassi Racing, an active team with 4 wins. And these teams have 3 wins. AJ Fournier Price's Leader Cards Racing, Bob Wilkes' team, and Patrick Racing. And then with 2 wins, you have Peugeot Auto Racing Company, Duesenberg Automobile Motors Company, Harry Hance, Louis Meyer, Boyle Racing Headquarters, Howard B. Keck, John Zink, George Scythe, J.C. Agajanian, Vels Parnelli Jones Racing, McLaren, and Chaparral Cars. As for international drivers, before we get into that, most engine wins. The Offies hold that one with 27 wins. Offenhauser, that's more than double, almost more than double the wins over Miller with 12, and Honda with 12. Honda, of course, been an active manufacturer or engine.
Miller brand can also be associated with Chevrolet, I believe, because Pratt Miller develops the Chevrolet engines. So I think that might be the Chevrolet badge right there.
Right, but it's under its own name. Now, Chevy has 11 wins. Cosworth with 10. Ford with 8. Oldsmobile with 5. Duesenberg and Peugeot tie with 3 wins. As for Frontenac, Maserati, Mercedes-Benz, they have 2 wins respectively. And then these brands have 1 win. Marmon, the very first one. The very second one, National, Delage in 1914, Sparks, Foyt, and Toyota.
Well, I know a manufacturer with 0 wins, Buick, because they had the engines were fast, but they fell apart easily, which was kind of unfortunate. But
who could forget those overpowered cars that are built, and they just built 1,000 horsepower engines.
Yeah,
and he blames on the power valve that they don't last that long.
So people running Buick engines were fast in qualifying, but in the race they would finish the last couple positions.
Yeah, they wouldn't last at all. Porsche, you also had Lotus that was extremely slow. They never won a race. They didn't even finish their own race that they competed in.
Oh.
All right, and now as for international drivers, the country with most wins for international drivers in the Indy 500 is the UK, 8 wins. And then Brazil with 7. France with 3, of course, including last year. That was almost a 100-year wait between Gaston Chevrolet and Simon Pagenaud. 4 wins with France. They don't have 3 wins, 4 wins. I forgot about Jules Go. And then, of course, Rene Thomas. 3 wins for Italy. 2 wins for the Netherlands and Colombia, both with 1 driver respectively in Ari Leindijk and Juan Pablo Montoya. And then, of course, with 1 win for Canada, Sweden, New Zealand, Japan, and Australia. Of course, those drivers being
all those guys.
And with that said, it seems like points leaders don't have the best luck when it comes to winning the Indy 500, because the last time the season champion won the Indy 500 was 10 years ago, Dario Franchitti.
Wow. It's been a while.
I was thinking even further back with Dixon in 08. Dixon in 08, and then you had Dario in 10. Yeah, that was the last time that happened.
Yeah, because 2011, Weldon was not the points leader. 2012, who won 2012? Hunter Ray didn't win.
Dario won the Indy 500.
Yeah,
He won the national championship.
It's like Montoya won 2015, but he didn't win.
He almost added that.
No, he did. Yep, he almost did, but he had to pass Ryan Briscoe, but couldn't pass him. He had to just pass that one car to get the title, but couldn't pass him. So,
alrighty. But now let's go ahead and move to 2020. So with all those stats and what can happen in 104 events in 109 years, wins from starting positions. Pagano was from the pole. Yeah, he won Indy 500 for the pole. It was the first time since Elliott Castroneves did that 2009. Happened 21 times, actually.
Wait, I'm
and winning the race.
Whoa,
Does that mean something for Marco Andretti?
I'm just looking for people that don't know what's the lowest starting position for the Indy 500 is 28th, which was
84 years ago. Last time it's happened.
1936. Louis Meyer won from the 28th starting spot. Not a starting spot. Starting spot's not a word now. Starting spot, yeah. Which, 28th, starting 28th to win the Indy 500, it's kind of impressive.
But just knowing these numbers, the fact that numbers don't lie is impressive. Just seeing man, someone that started 12 can only win the 500, or has only won the 500 twice in 103 races. But let's take a look at the 2020 Indianapolis 500. But yeah, the 2020 Indy 500 starting grid, of course, winning the pole for the first time in his career in the Indy 500, for the first time in his Indy 500 career, with the speed of 231.351 miles per hour. Marco Andretti, the third generation driver of the Andretti family name. The 2006 Indy 500 Rookie of the Year.
Yep. When I saw he got that fast time, I'm like, I'm not
surprised. Are you surprised, Robby?
No, I wasn't surprised, with the speed they had on Fast Friday, because Marco had one of the fastest times on Fast Friday. In fact, he actually said the fastest time. So what I was really surprised was how much of it was last year. I was sitting over turn 3 last year, and I'm like, Marco's getting lapped like every 20 laps. Like, that car was so slow. That was a real big surprise. But I'm just Marco, he just set up underneath him, that got him the pole, and you know what? I'm happy for him.
I think so too. People always want to associate Marco Andretti as a driver racing under a last name. Andretti in the Indy 500.
Ooh.
I mean, this is the track that suits him best.
Yeah. Why
are people criticize? I mean, you can criticize him at Road America or track where he just doesn't seem to make things happen. But he's always made things happen in the Indy 500. He almost won off the bat in 2006.
But
crazy.
Here comes Sam Hornish out of nowhere.
Sam Hornish just made a run for it and won. But obviously, 24th, he crashed in 07. It rained short in race. He finished third in 08. DNF in 09. Third place in 2010. You just got to give him a good car.
Yeah. Because he those finishes, that's really impressive. Like, when I saw his laps, I'm like, holy, I'm like, whoa, Marco's fast. I'm like, he was fast on Saturday and then ends up winning the pole on Sunday. I'm like, I was like, yeah, Marco has speed in his car. I could tell you that. Like, looking at Marco's Andretti speed, I'm like, whoa. Like,
it was impressive, to say the least. All right, so let's before we go any further, let's just get into the starting grid. Obviously, the Indy 500 is a unique starting grid. 3 drivers in a row, 11 rows of 3. Marco Andretti, first pole. As for the Andretti family,
231.068 miles per hour was his average through the 4 laps.
1987. Mario
Yep.
Andretti. That's how long it's been. 33 years.
Yep.
So we have Marco Andretti on pole. Then you have Scott Dixon,
Second,
2008 winner. Second, Takuma Sato,
the
2017.
Yep.
Third, row 2,
Hi-
Rinus VK, rookie.
Highest. Yep. Good run for the Ed Carpenter Chevy. Ryan Hunter-Reay 5th place. Teammate James Hinchcliffe, the 2016 pole sitter, starting 6th. Row 3, Alex Palou, the second highest rookie, starting 7th. Graham Rahal, 8th in the 15. And 2016 winner Alexander Rossi will start 9th place. Row 4, in the 4th row, outside the Fast 9, we have Colton Herta, Marcus Ericsson 11th. Spencer Piggott will start 12th. Row number 5, Joseph Newgarden, the highest Penske Chevy. Felix Rosenqvist 14th, and rookie in the Indy 500, Pato O'Ward, will start in 15th in his first Indy 500, actually making the field. Row 6, Ed Carpenter, last year's pole sitter, will start 16th, alongside Zach Beach in 17th, and the other Ed Carpenter Chevy of the 47 of Connor Daly starts 18th. Row 7, Ferrucci, last year was the rookie, the Indy 500 rookie. Jack Harvey will start next to him in 20th, and Oliver Askew, rookie for the Aero McLaren team, starting 21st. Row 8, Will Power, 2018 winner, starting next to Tony Kanaan and Don Kellett in row 8. Row 9, last year's winner Simon Pagenaud, next to Fernando Alonso and James Davison's Honda. Row 10, Cash Neves, 3-time winner of the Indy 500, trailing Kimball 29th and 30th, Max Chilton. And the final row, for the Indy 500, and row 11, Sage Karam for Dryer Rainbow Racing, J.R. Hildebrand, his teammate, 32nd. And last place, the number 81, Ben Hanley, will start 33rd.
All right, yeah. There are no drivers getting bumped, luckily.
No,
For some teams, that's a big sigh of relief.
There's some cars that look fast. One car was kind of slow, like Ben Hanley about 4 miles an hour off. But Penske, they didn't qualify well.
Yeah.
Joseph Newgarden's the highest car in 13th. Other than that, they're all in the back of the field.
That was painful to watch. I was sitting there Penske's just way off. In fact, a lot of the Chevrolet teams are off. If you think about it.
Yeah, it's true.
The top guys. It was the Andretti's, it was Ganassi, it was the Ray Hall teams, it was Air McLaren teams, it was all the Honda people up front.
But the only Chevy that was up there was Rinus VK in the only Chevy up in the Fast 9, which I'm like, so Carpenter and Daly qualified bad, but Rinus VK's a rookie and qualifies in 4th.
And keep in mind, Rinus VK first touched an oval back in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember he crashed in practice and crashed in the race and qualifies 4th in the Indy 500.
I don't even have any words to say about that, honestly.
You got adjusted very quickly, I'll tell you that.
Yep.
Well, I think the Chevys have certainly, I don't know, they maybe lagged back a little bit, knowing that there was only one in the Fast 9, Rinus VK. Just being the fact that a rookie driver for Ed Carpenter Racing would be the lone Chevy in the Fast 9 was pretty surprising.
Yeah, I expected Ed Carpenter to be up there, and Connor Daly, and the Penske guys, but they're not even in the Fast 9.
But knowing that, I think not just Honda, but Andretti Hondas have showed speed that they had last year. It just didn't seem like things were clicking last year, even though they almost won with Alexander Rossi. I think they're on their game, just in true fashion. But that doesn't mean other Hondas, such as those from Chip Ganassi Racing, Scott Dixon was second fastest, or even Ray Hall, Len Ray Lanigan Racing, and Takuma Sato, don't say that they're out of the picture just because they're not in Andretti Autosport. What about a guy like James Hinchcliffe? Hinch is on a limited schedule in the IndyCar season to begin with, and this is a track that suits him well. He's been bumped. So what? He is a former pole sitter of the Indy 500.
Yep, back in 2016, 4 years ago.
And he knows how to get it done. First of all, and it was Blake, so it was difficult for him to hear me. I was standing a little bit further away back from the mic. I kind of moved up a little bit now, but I was like, Hinchcliffe knows how to get around here. He's won a pole here. The time where he got bumped, it was more of the engineer's fault. And then last year, had a really bad accident in qualifying that really set them back because they had to develop that car within a couple hours.
Yeah.
So now he's got a set car underneath him. He's a threat. I don't think he's one of my picks, but I would be very happy to see Hinchcliffe win it.
Y'all gonna hate me for saying this. This guy's been dominant all year. Scott Dixon is gonna win his second Indy 500.
And if he wins, that'll be his 50th career win. Sorry for interrupting you there.
Yeah, that will be his 50th career win. Talk about a double whammy.
No worries at all, Joseph. I was just gonna say I made a list of people who I want to win, who I would feel great if they won, and those who are most deserving. The two are most deserving to win the Indy 500, and I don't think anybody can disagree with me. Scott Dixon and Alexander Rossi.
Oh yeah,
they both
absolutely.
deserve the seconds. And the people who I would absolutely love to win, and I would just be overly exuberantly happy, Marco Andretti. After that pole,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to spoil the party here, but the Andretti curse will continue.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Well, there is other drivers that should have. There's a driver that I know that has never won an Indy 500, but he has been close many times. If nobody knows that driver, he drives for his own team. Ed Carpenter. Ed's never won the Indy 500. He gets good finishes, but he can't get that win he's been looking for a long time.
Yep.
He's a local favorite. Him and Connor Daly, they're local favorites.
Yeah.
The whole state would explode if they won the races.
I know, right? I think you know what? I would love to see Ed Carpenter win in his home track.
That would be really. It would be really a popular win for Ed Carpenter because he's been close so many times, but he always comes up short. It's like 2019. He there's some years he was doing so good, but he just can't get the first position. He's always second, he's underneath that first place, and he's been really close of getting a win.
Very close, but I think there's plenty of room for Fred Carpenter to win. But I think his team will have to work together to make that happen. Marinas VK, obviously, they're in the Chevy camp right now. It seems like the Chevys haven't been the best so far, but you got a veteran in Connor Daly. Connor Daly, someone that you can, work with. But right now, we'll just have to see where this goes.
Like Ed Carpenter's best Indy finish, second, 2018. Is his best finish. He finished second to Will Power. Like,
Started on the pole that year too. It was just
he finished sixth last year, but just looking through.
what about a driver? And this is a good driver you can consider as a favorite to win. But he starts in the middle of row 9. He made the headlines for the absolute worst reasons possible in the Indy 500, getting bumped. That would be Fernando Alonso. Let's not ignore his performance in 2017 on his debut. The fact that he ran up front, he started 5th, just had the absolute best car in the Honda, and then GP2 engine kicked in, and they just was thrown out of the picture.
Well, his teammate Takuma Sato did not have that GP2 engine because Takuma ended up winning. But I just don't know about he's starting back there in row 9, but he's with a dude. He's with Arrow McLaren Chevrolet. They're running Chevys. And, he has to get through the field if he wants to win it because he's starting all the way back in row 9 in P26. He just has to get through the field and also he doesn't want to get into situations that are bad. Like getting tight in the middle and crashing out, because I've seen that happen before. Where people get too tight and they squeeze something.
McLaren has not won the Indy 500 since Johnny Rutherford did it. He did it twice back in 74 and 76.
Yeah,
but that would be special. I mean, they have a lot of entries this year, of course. But I think Pato O'Ward. Remember, Pato O'Ward missed the show last year. He's in
for Carlin. Yeah, but he's a rookie for the Indy 500 because he missed it. Because he drove for Carlin, and 2 of the Carlin cars did not even make it last year.
After winning that thrilling Freedom 100 last year.
Yeah.
Technically, 3 of the Carlin cars failed to qualify because technically that McLaren last year was partnered with Carlin.
Oh, yeah.
True.
I know. Oh, yeah, I remember how Kyle Kaiser made the shocking move to get in the Indy 500, which I'm like, when I saw Kyle Kaiser make the Indy 500, I'm like, wow. Because I never expected Kyle Kaiser to do that for Home Coast Racing last year, to make that move and bump Fernando Alonso to get into the Indy 500.
All right. I think we're all the chat aside. Let's make our predictions. And it's time for real. Who will win the 104th running of the Indianapolis 500? Who's going to win the 2020 Indy 500? Hopefully the one time it's ran in August. Who's going to win this one?
You just said the best. Hopefully it's the one time they run in August, and hopefully it's the one time where I'm actually watching on TV for the rest of my life. I'm gonna. You know what? I really have to say Scott Dixon. That man deserves the second 500 more than anybody out there. I say Dixon's gonna win it.
Thank you. I'm gonna go with Dixon as well. Final pick.
Okay, my pick, this driver, he's won 1 Indy 500 in his career. He's starting in 3rd place. Driver of the number 30. Takuma Sato is going to win his 2nd Indy 500.
That's plausible. That could happen.
Well, you're fast. You're fast in both days of qualifying. You win yourself the pole.
Okay.
You have all the pressure on you based off a last name and based off a curse that I guess people in magazines in the 1980s decided to come up with based off a last name and the Andretti curse. But you know what? If he nearly won on his debut 14 years ago, and this is the lone track where he becomes a factor to win on a yearly basis, then how could not there be a way for Marco Andretti to actually win the Indianapolis 500? I'm going to go with Marco Andretti because he is fast.
Yeah, he's shown
That's his
that
best track.
That's true. He's good at Indianapolis. He's shown speed at this racetrack.
And he's got every reason in the world to work twice as hard. Losing an uncle, John Andretti, meant a tough offseason, a tough and especially an extended long season with the pandemic. And knowing that Andretti Autosport, they always enter this race clutch. They have the most entries of any other team. It's going to be a storybook win.
I'm counting they have...
Too bad we can't hear the cheers from the crowd this year when it happens.
They have 7 cars. They have the 26, 27, 28, 29. Wait.
That's 1/6 of the field.
6 cars, and then they 88 and 98, which is 6 total. So I just realized with us just picking those drivers, we picked drivers from the front row because Dixon starting second, Andretti first, and then Takuma Sato's third. So we picked drivers from the front row.
Boy, I'll tell you, you guys are going to be in for a treat. 200 laps. And
500
will
miles.
we see strategy? Will strategy play a partly in the race?
I bet you it will, and because I've seen, remember 2018, that strategy towards the end with Oriol Servia and Stefan Wilson and them trying, but it didn't work. They had to pit, so that's how Will Power got the win.
Or Alexander Rossi's thrilling upset in 2016.
Yeah, that nobody... Okay. Blake picked...
Or how about the 2011 Indy 500? That was while hitting the wall off turn 4 determined the winner. You cannot forget that the last 20 laps was all fuel mileage.
Yep.
I mean, there was a point in that race where people were talking about Bertrand Baguette winning the race, and I'm like, it's actually possible. You make the race, you have a shot to win. Then we see Danica up there, and then all of a sudden, J.R. Hildebrand, like, wow, this J.R. Hildebrand guy in National Guard colors, driving the car that finished second with Dan Wheldon last year, is going to win this. He needs the wall.
Yeah, he slid up high trying to get by a lap car.
And, like, my jaw dropped. Like, Dan Wheldon wins the race. A part-time driver for Brian Herta Autosport.
Yep. That was one of the last times he drove the 98, because then he drove the 77, then the sadness at Las Vegas.
Crash claimed his life that year, which I remember watching. But, like, knowing, especially what happened just a few months after Dan winning the 500, knowing what happened then, that race is a storybook ending, I'd say. But maybe in 2006 was, can't forget 2006 and the thrilling finish between Sam Hornish Jr. versus the Andrettis.
Yeah, that was close, but Hornish just came out of nowhere.
What about Al Unser Jr. fending off Scott Goodyear in the closest finish ever?
Yeah.
But, I mean, at least this is one of the better Indy 500s. I think, as for everything but the pandemic, this race will be a fun one.
Yeah.
I guess for the time being, we'll forget there's a pandemic going on.
Yeah.
True.
I just saw that, I guess, Blake picked Fernando Alonso. So it's going to be a interesting Indy 500, which it's going to be really interesting. Sunday, I remember after Iowa, and then they canceled. The Mid Ohio race was not going to be in August. I'm like, ooh, Indy 500's next. I was just kept thinking about the Indy 500.
I think everybody will be very excited.
Yeah, and people will tune on NBC to watch it. With their pre-race coverage starts at 1 Eastern, the race at 2:30 Eastern on NBC. Yep.
What else? I mean, is there about this 500 that stands out aside from the pandemic, aside from Marco Andretti, that makes the 2020 running of this race stand out?
I just also for the Indy 500. It's the first year that Roger Penske owns IMS during the Indy 500, which is a good thing. Also about the Indy 500, it's been like 4 years since remember Rossi's thrilling finish where saving fuel. That was 4 years ago already. Time flies, because I remember watching that Indy 500 in 2016. I'm like, I was so shocked at how he made it on fuel. How Rossi made it on fuel. I was so confused at first.
And I was pulling for Carlos Munoz to win.
Right, Munoz was close once again, just like 2013. When Tony Kanaan finally broke through, and this may or may not be Tony Kanaan's final race. He is openly considering racing again next year. Because this is not the way he chose to go out of professional racing.
Yeah, he thought it was going to be normal with fans and all that, the normalness,
and his family, and just taking the moment. But that's not the case. Just like other athletes that have to go through the realities of being professional sports during this pandemic. Let's see what else there. Rookie winners in the Indy 500, of course. I don't know why Ray Words on the list. It was the very first one. Jules Go, 1913. Renee Thomas, 1914. Frank Lockhart, 1926. George Souders, 1927. Of course, no more rookies from then to 1966 when Graham Hill won the 1966 Indy 500. And then it hasn't happened until 2000 when Pablo Montoya won it off of circumstances. And same with Elliott Castroneves in 01. And Rossi won in 2016. Why off circumstances? Of course, because they were racing in karts. At that time, that series, the Indy 500 was excluded from the calendar. They didn't have it. So, and Montoya, of course, won the series title in '99. Well, Castroneves was already a full-time driver going in there, and it was the first time they ran the Indy 500.
Yeah, and like it's just like there's been different moments during Indy 500s. Like I remember 2017 Indy 500 qualifying. Other than Bourdais' crash, Montoya ran over a black garbage bag on the track, which caught on his wing, which was kind of weird when I saw him. I'm like, why is there a garbage bag on the track? I'm like, I was looking on the track. I'm like, did IndyCar officials not see the garbage bag in turn 2 yet? And Montoya ended up running over the garbage bag.
Well, I remember that. They had to give him an extra qualifying attempt after that.
Because he ran over that garbage bag that I guess the officials didn't see until Montoya brought it back in the pits with that garbage bag stuck on the wing. But there's been moments at Indianapolis that have been kind of like different crashes. Like Scott Dixon's 2017 crash was bad. Bourdais' qualifying crash was like that crash. I'm like, oh my!
That was horrifying.
He was going on his lap. He was going 231 miles per hour, and oh my!
Straight onto the wall.
Practice, James Hinchcliffe 2015 in practice. That was a bad wreck.
that was one of those wake up call crashes when you just
Yeah.
this is serious, and you gotta go for it.
Yeah, and that's why Ryan Briscoe.
And that these drivers, they really put everything out there.
Yeah.
On the line.
Yeah.
It absolutely is a wake up call because I was just sitting there when I'm talking about back to Bourdais crash. I was sitting there in the IndyCar lounge and I just turn around and I'm like, oh my God, he's in the wall, and the whole crowd just went silent. At the speedway, you can hear a pin drop when somebody crashes like that.
Yeah.
I remember.
And like the reason why he crashed was I heard that he kept taking away downforce off the car, kept taking away downforce, less downforce.
Yeah.
Took that much enough to where he lost it.
Yeah, and I remember during that Bourdais crash, I remember it was actually that qualifying was put to ESPN because it was on ABC, and I remember Alan Bestwick saying what a terrible crash because he was
it was silent. I thought luckily he was able to get out and a few months later returned to racing.
Yeah, and then James Davison drove that car in the 2017 Indy 500, the 18.
Yeah, and he's back for this year.
Yep, James Davison will drive the number 51 for Dale Coyne, Rick Ware, and Jonathan Bird and Brian Bilardi. So, yeah.
All lots of names.
Yeah, it's like the 98 when you have Michael Andretti, Brian Herta, Marco Andretti, and Mike Curb. It's like there's so many owners on one car.
Yeah.
It's the majority ownership.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 25%, 25%, 20. It's like they're sharing the car basically by the owners.
Yeah. All right. What Indy 500 in the past? Give me a few Indy 500s that you like to look back on. Maybe when you were in quarantine in March, April, just having nothing to do, just look back and what Indy 500s do you fondly remember or like to watch? From decades ago.
I think 2013 was one for if the caution wouldn't have came out. It would have been a good. It would have been a good battle to the end between Kanaan and Munoz.
Yeah, so one keep asking yourself.
I have
until this day. I still didn't like the outcome of Franchitti bringing out the yellow.
I just one Indy 500 that comes to mind for me. 2015, because remember Montoya, he was in the back at one point in 30th after what happened to his car. He had damage and stuff, and he rallied back to win from being 30th at one point. Rallying from 30th at Indy is kind of impressive from being in 30th, and he went through the field, passed his teammate Will Power late to win the race, which was really impressive.
Yeah, I do remember that weekend. Now it wasn't the best weekend for me because that was when my grandfather passed away, and it was just a few days after the funeral. I remember we just getting home and watching Montoya and Will Power was in the mix, and just seeing Montoya just pull that drive towards the end.
Yeah.
Really reaffirms the racing world how great of a race car driver he truly is. And I wish he was in the 500 this year. Maybe one team will give him. I mean, I know he's on the Penske now, and their sports car program is set to end. That's what the rumors say. The drivers for the Penske IMSA team are being told to search for another team if you want to race sports cars in 2021.
Yeah.
But if Montoya was on was in this year's 500, I would have gone with him. There's just something about the experience he has.
Yeah.
But if there's an Indy 500 that I go back to watch, just say, geez, this was some true stuff. It has to be 2011.
Yeah, that one.
I mean, it was competitive from the very get-go. This was just the first few years since American Open Wheel Racing had reunification. And the list was large. We had like, I think 40 cars, and many of them had a shot to win this thing. Just the fact that we had, like, the unpredictability was big before the race even started. Qualifying was just intense. And then the race. Seeing it stops. Drivers coming and going. So many comers and goers. It was the last year with the old Dallara chassis. And then drivers getting in the mix. Like Bertrand Baguette. Talking about a Belgian sports car driver in a one-off appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ran some races in 2010 for Conquest Racing, but nothing stood out compared to the 2011 Indy 500. I'm like, yeah, this guy's going to win. And then Thomas Scheckter had a chance, and Marco Danica, even Dario Franchitti. And then everybody knew what happened. He had J.R. Hildebrand's going to win the race. I keep watching. I know a lot of Hildebrand fans keep watching, just hoping that maybe if I watch it this time, he's going to make it through turn 4 and win the race. But then everybody knows what happened. It's just, it ain't over till it's over.
Yep.
Dan Weldon winning that race means a lot. I've always been a fan of Dan Weldon. I think, Dan would have made it in Formula One if he chose to go that path, but he chose to race in the States. He chose to race in IRL. And like, I mean, I grew up watching him race. Like, this is going to be his year. And he's out of a ride. I was pissed when Weldon was out of a ride.
Oh.
And then the fact that he won this race was just like, my 12-year-old self couldn't handle how happy I was. Just, it was so special. And then, of course, what happened at Vegas that year was just, it was one of those days where you remember where you were when it happened.
Of course.
But nonetheless, as for the 2011 Indy 500, that race stands out. Every time I go back, I always watch that one.
Yeah, for me, during the pandemic, I was really looking back to last year, mainly because to see Pagano win in person was something that every time I'm miserable, I always go back to that day. I'm just like, that was the best time of my life. I had no worries in the world other than that, just worrying to see if Pagano was going to win the damn race. And Rossi gave him a hell of a fight. Rossi put on a hell of a clinic. But when you crossed the line, it was like, okay, everything I worked for this past year was worth it seeing him win this damn race. And when I was looking back at the pandemic, I had to go back to one race. That was just the one event, the one race I would put on.
Yeah, you made the right decision. I think that race, I love going back to it. Just, I actually had a screen record of me and you reacting to the race. And I was like, Simon Pagano, it's Roger Penske, his 18th Indianapolis 500 victory. Like,
yeah,
I have a screen record somewhere on my phone. But nonetheless, it's August, but for 200 laps, it's going to feel like May.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
the feeling never goes away.
Yep, and people will watch on TV, NBC. Tune in on NBC.
So, yeah, I think this is a good stopping point for the podcast. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah.
72nd episode of the Below the Yellow Line podcast. We'll be back next week.
Yeah.
For the 73rd episode, we'll go over what happened in the greatest spectacle of racing for the Indianapolis 500, as well as NASCAR Dover, the Dover doubleheader, and the NASCAR playoffs outlook is going to get very tight. We'll be back with just one race remaining, of course, because there is a doubleheader, so 2 races will be knocked out.
Yeah.
By the time we come back, we'll be previewing Daytona and which drivers are in, which drivers out. It is a true wild card event.
Yeah.
Other than that, Dover is very tough on its own. Indy is going to be a special one for one driver, that is, at the end of 200 laps and 400 miles. And with that said, thank you guys for watching the Below the Yellow Line podcast here on World Racing Media. We'll be back next week for my partners, Justin and Danny, for being on every week. And, of course, our guest, Robby Noonan. Have his channel description, his channel in the description below. I'm Joe Lanny Pavlon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good one.